Let's do this. Excellent connection, it says. As it loads up the stream.
Oh yeah, we took a long rest. I should update my hit die now.
Yes, we did take a long rest.
Well, a week-long one, but yeah. No, it just was, it's like I saw my hit dice were empty. I'm like, yeah. I fill them up.
But alrighty. So last time, Kingless Chronicle, the party surveyed their goblin land. Delon had a one-on-one with his Pearl Lady, where some interesting tidbits of information were dropped to him. The party left the land of monsters, heading for the ice barges. They bumped into Harkin, where they agreed to meet once in the Savage Lands. There was a near confrontation, perhaps, with Harkin that overall was resolved peacefully. And lastly, as the party was on the ice barges, playing a game of 20 questions with their blind, heavily scarred Minotaur ferryman, bubbles started rapidly rising from the oceans as the entire waters started to rise like a small tsunami, almost like a massive wave of frozen frigid ice. Without further ado, so party, as you are in the ice, forgive the boat, just imagine it's one glacier sailing through other glaciers. So as you're sailing through the ice, and these bubbles rapidly arise from two different directions, rapidly heading towards your boat, they begin to rise out of the water, becoming manifest as they materialize as water elementals. Roll initiative.
Someone must have summoned these. Why would there randomly be elementals on the material plane?
No, right? Or would there randomly be a greater water elemental in the sewer?
Oh crap, hold up, let me click on my damn thing. I don't know why it doesn't do that automatically.
You have to click your token.
G-A-Y.
But it's okay. There you go. No, bub. You had 10. Stop it. Bad bub. There you go.
For once I have first level spells in a battle. Let me click.
Hello.
Okay, that's not loading. Give me a moment. Pull up his sheet again. That time it worked. So it's gotta be difficult. He doesn't want to roll initiative. His sheet didn't want to pull it up. There we go. He rolled like garbage, actually. It's funny. It's always funny to me when the Dex characters roll like shit.
He's going before me. Oh sweet, Yorn actually is gonna help us this time.
Dorm helped against the T-Rex.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's because he was actually never in danger.
Hey, he took up a vantage point and just fired with his blunderbuss over and over.
Legend. He played exactly how he should have.
He was basically all the way over there, just taking a million pot shots.
Yep.
How am I the first to go?
Why do our initiatives has points on them?
It is the tiebreaker for the initiative order.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's essentially a way to make the initiative not have ties as frequently. So there will be less occurrences of a 14 and a 14 or like 314s being rolled on initiative and people questioning who goes where, you know? Just a nice, an extra thing that is completely optional to use on Roll20 that I decided to incorporate for the speed up of combat.
Actually, whether first or last is very good, actually, because of getting bolt. Meaning more uptime. Well, potentially. More use out of it. Well, more choices, really. Just like the first two.
Alrighty. So at the top of the round is Gildos. So Gildos, you see these water elementals rising out of the water, pushing aside chunks of ice as they rapidly rush towards you.
Well, I said one thing both in character and out of character. They're pretty damn big.
They
They're
are.
fucking huge, dude. That's not good. Bigger means stronger in elemental worlds. I'm pretty sure I don't even need to roll for that.
No, you don't. Also, Bub, as a druid, you would know that elementals are embodiments of the natural order.
Let's see.
Too bad I don't have diplomacy. Otherwise, I'd just try to talk to them in my turn and be like, "Hey guys, we're good people. Don't kill us."
Let's see. God.
They're essentially nature made manifest.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just looking at my options right now. 'Cause I'm like, I don't think fire gonna be any good against them.
Very unlikely.
Let's see. Da, 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 da. Oh, let's see. I'm about same distance on either of them, so let me just. What? Ah, I'm going downward.
Alright.
So da da da. So yeah, all this advice we can. Yeah.
Yep, you
So I
can move
think
on the
the
ice.
whole ice thing is the ice barge.
Yeah, essentially.
Alright, we'll move over there. Think, yeah.
And since any of you have boots on that essentially are environmental type boots, you do not suffer difficult terrain from the walking on the ice, as the boots keep your feet gripped.
Yeah. And since I didn't expect an encounter today, well, today meaning last week, but today in game, I had to reapply Blessing of the Forge, so fuck yeah. I'll be fine. Well, anyway. I'm gonna do some. We do a little bit of casting, right?
Getting
On
bolts.
that there, dude.
Alrighty. That is a hit. So for a higher level cast for radiant damage,
23.
that is a 23. Very nice.
And next attack on it has an advantage.
Very nice indeed.
Well, that should be it.
Alright. So after Gildos is Eleanor, who on her turn is going to apply the spell Mage Armor to herself. And remain where she is at the moment. Tulio on his turn looks around at the water elementals and gives a sigh. These things again. What is it with the savage lands and spirits and mystical creatures? He is going to attempt an insight roll. He succeeds. Tulio now has advantage on the water elementals until the end of combat. Oh well. I've fought y'all before. Though y'all are bigger than I remember.
Tulio's so strong.
Level 5 rogue, baby. Master assassin.
He's not checking. He's gonna fall off in a couple of levels.
He will actually, yes.
Well, he is a rogue, so yeah.
Yeah, they
that's
fall
fine.
off. Well, okay, while everyone else is getting strong at like level 7, rogues are like, oh, it's okay guys, I carried y'all through the early game, carry me through the mid game, okay?
It's not the late game. Nobody ever goes to the game.
Nobody talks about late game. I don't care if I
No.
could do like 100
Yeah.
damage with sneak attack. Fuck off.
Yeah, then the wizard presses the win button. That's
Yes,
late game.
essentially. So he is going to do 12 plus 13, so 25. And with his magical crossbow, he actually does do 25 damage to the creature. So he targeted, very specifically, this one. The one Geldos already marked. Bub, your turn.
Then get. Oh wait, no, you already have a sneak attack.
So, regrettably, these elementals are so big that my giant octopus can't actually grapple them. So, I'm probably gonna go with Plan B of hide and call lightning. So that's what I'm gonna do. Here, let me roll
Goddamn it.
stealth first. What?
Fucking Rocktopus, you literally made a creature, and you're like,
No, this
Nah.
is not. There's all this ice, and these things are too big. He literally made this so that I can't use it.
Well, let me give me a moment. How big is the rock? I believe it's a
I think
a
it's
large
large creature.
creature. Yeah. The water elementals are also large, so you can grapple them actually.
Oh, I thought they were huge size. That looks like huge to me.
No,
That's
these
3
are
by
large
3.
at the moment. I
Oh,
could have
okay.
overmade the tokens potentially. Could have.
I
Let me see.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
I
slightly
thought that meant they were
yellow-
huge size, because 3 by 3 is huge, I think.
I made them big so they're pretty to look at. If I'm being brutally honest.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, as long as you explain that, that's cool.
But if you want
Can I make a
Rocktopus,
nature
use your
check
Rocktopus
though?
form.
I'm pretty sure that elementals deal damage when you touch them though. I'm gonna make a nature check. 17?
So with a 17 nature check, Bub, you know that water elementals do not deal damage on contact. However, they can essentially, and for a lack of a better term, consume creatures and pull them into their watery form, attempting to suffocate them.
Neat. And do they have that pass through dealing damage to you thing? Or is that something else I'm thinking of? I'm pretty sure that's
With a
elementals.
17, you know that these ones do not.
Interesting. Okay. Then it actually isn't a wreck. So, let's see. I'll help Gildas. Because I'm fairly sure that the Giga team over there has it under control, too. This is ice, right? Let's
Yes.
see.
I believe all of the party members have essentially special boots, though, on at the moment, that the party spent like 500 gold acquiring.
300.
Okay. Giant Rocktopus, activate.
So you don't need to suffer in difficult terrain at the moment.
Cool. I actually think I don't suffer anyway because I'm a blue kobold, if I remember correctly. Regardless, though, Giant Rocktopus, go!
Alright.
Alright, let's put myself on the corner. And, let's see. Tentacle attack. 11. That's
An
probably-
11. That does not hit. Oh wait, it has advantage actually, I believe. So 15. That is a hit.
Does it?
Yes,
okay.
Guiding Bolt.
No,
Oh, yeah, you're
well,
right.
If you told you attack first, then
No, isn't
yeah.
Guiding Bolt until the end of the round?
No, it's next attack.
Hmm? Let me see.
Yeah.
Hold on.
On a hit, the target takes 46 radiant damage, and the next attack roll made against the target before the end of your next turn has advantage.
Isn't this the next attack? Or I was under the impression Tulio attacked the other one.
No, Tulia did attack this one that Gildos attacked, But
Okay.
Tulio auto gave himself advantage, so I'm just gonna basically say that he didn't use yours. That'd be
Okay,
nice.
fair
Alright
enough.
then, GM
Thank
fair.
you. The
GM
ultimate.
can be nice.
Yeah.
12 bludgeoning damage.
Alrighty.
And, well, I have reach 15. I don't even need to get that close. Shit.
Rocktopus tentacle arms, go!
Yeah, so, it is grappled with an escape of DC 16.
Alrighty. Oh. GM not reading things at certain points. So, Bub, you attempt to grapple it, and you find yourself that it is impossible for you to physically hold water in your arms.
I figured. 999.
I forgot water elementals are immune to grappling.
Yeah. Would I have known that? I've already rolled, but
Look,
You
look,
would
man,
know.
did
You
GM
would know that since they can suffocate creatures, being a rocktopus that can breathe water and has a swim speed is a good idea.
Like, you still have advantage here. You still can move around. It's not like you just can't grapple him.
yeah, I just can't stun lock him. That's too
Yeah.
bad.
That's, Hey, you know what? You're using your Rocktopus form. That's all that matters.
Indeed.
And I help.
Oh right. So the water elemental's turn. I will explain the other thing in a moment. Well, another person's doing their turn in a second. So the two water elementals come over, and one comes rushing down. It goes under the water and then rushes out from underneath the ice, shattering part of your ice barge as it shakes and trembles around as it gets into some of the party's space. Yorm and Tulio need to make a save.
Gorm, no. I'm not worried about Tulio because he's ridiculous.
Let's see. Yep. On failure, the target, each creature in the elemental space must make a DC 15 strength save. So Yorm and Tulio need to make a strength save. Yorm does not succeed. Yorm becomes consumed by the water elemental. Strength save for Tulio. Nat 20, Tulio just basically dips right out. He's fine.
Ah, shit. We gotta rescue Yorm.
The water elemental, after consuming Yorm, so that everybody can see what it does.
Decide my fate.
2d8 plus 4. Oops, I forgot to type roll. There we go. So Yorm is going to take 14 damage. The water elemental then proceeds to back up, using some more of its swim speed, to pull Yorm away from the barge, going towards the water. So, make a strength save, Gildas, as this one does the same thing, attempting to do the same to you. You succeed.
Right. I'll put some point in strength.
Target is pushed out of the elemental space.
So I guess I'll go there then.
Yep.
Right.
And that is their turn. On Yorm's turn, he's going to make another strength save.
Do it, not Yorm. Do it. Oh, fuck.
Oh!
No, he can't.
Number one.
So Yorm just starts floundering about, desperately clawing towards the edge of the water, but no matter how hard he tries, he just sinks further into the water elemental's abyss.
Now, if the water elemental was smart, Yorn would have no chance.
So,
Can't believe it
2d8 plus 4 again, I believe.
How often does the damage happen?
I think every time one makes a save on it.
Oh, it has to recharge it, though.
True, which means it can't use it again. But it's already got somebody, so...
Oh, I see. So, yeah, okay.
Wait, I rolled the wrong die.
Yeah, that's D4.
That's the same either way, apparently.
Huh.
Technically not wrong, but you know what I mean. Their cap is, I think, identical with those two rolls, but whatever. No, wait, I think the 2d8 plus 4 can roll higher, actually. But whatever.
Yeah, 20 is the cap on the 2d8.
Yeah. So Yorm's going to take 13 more damage. Delon. On your turn,
Well,
you can
that's
see
it.
that the water elemental rushed over, basically pulled Yorm straight into its watery abyss. Tulio managing to essentially rush right, just barely in the nick of time, out of its overwhelming wave. And when the wave cleared away, Yorm was missing, and the water elemental began to sink beneath the waters itself.
Cool. So I have no ability to slash at or fight because
It is not fully underwater yet.
I'm gonna have to get there. So I'm going to use my horse's dash 60, 5, 5.
The horse's dash should, I believe, be up to 120, I believe.
Remember. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna make that.
Yep.
And I'm gonna try to help Yorm out.
Alrighty. So do you want to
go
make an
ahead.
attack roll, or do you want to try to make like an athletics roll to try to reach in and pull Yorm out?
I'm gonna be foolhardy to reach in and pull out. I think it'd be easier to shoot something, like use my magic, shoot it, and try to blast open a little way that you can get out. So I'm gonna use my Eldritch Blast.
Alrighty.
At least seems smart enough to me. I don't know, maybe not. Oh wait, oh maybe. No. I'm gonna try and freeze it.
Ooh.
Because I have the gift that Eleanor gave me, which is the gem. I have Chill Touch and Ray of Frost. So I'm
Indeed.
gonna use Ray of Frost.
Alright, roll
I'm
sizzle
gonna
beef.
try and freeze the area around it so he can break through. I mean, it's water, but hey, it'll just be a frozen chunk.
That's a hit.
16. Only 6.
So you do 6 cold damage to it.
The blue gem on his lapel or whatever glows, and a ray of frost exits his hands as he erupts it towards Yorm.
Alright. So as soon as the icy beam of the icy ray strikes the water elemental, you see as almost like a flash freeze. The entire thing rapidly begins to encase in ice, and it groans with the effort of movement.
Hmm. Oh, okay, cool.
Very nice. So on Ophelia's turn, she is going to... Let's see. So Ophelia is going to attempt a perception check on Yorm. Alright, she can see him. So Ophelia is going to extend her hand to him and mutter an incantation in an old language that has long since
still
been
dying.
forgotten. Indeed. So he no longer needs to drown.
But they can't do anything else either.
No. But considering that the creature was pulling him under the water,
Isn't he not dying, though?
he is essentially, he was drowning. while within the creature.
Doesn't it take like a while?
Considering that his health bar hits 0, if he's still underwater, he can't
Oh
swim.
shit! Really? Damn. Okay.
If
No,
his
that's
health bar
why
hits
water-
0,
water-
he's underwater.
Yeah, water dangers, bro. The sea is
Water
dangerous.
elementals can be very mean.
No. Okay,
Yeah, they
man.
just grapple
realize
you
he
and
was
drag you
knocked out.
underwater,
Okay.
and you're dead.
He's not
basically.
technically knocked out, but he's getting there. He's below half. If he
Right.
keeps failing.
And I'm trying to freeze this thing. Luckily, I didn't use it too often, so I have like 10 charges of it left. But hey,
I know.
True. But alrighty. So with Ray of Frost as well, and its speed is reduced to 10 feet until the start of the next turn. So not only is its speed reduced by 10, its speed was already reduced to 20, so now it can only move 10 feet with Ray of Frost. With Ophelia's Still the Dying, Yorm enters into a death-like state and essentially becomes null and void for the next 8 hours. Which means that luckily he cannot die currently, but he cannot also help you in the battle. Also factor in, dwarves may not be the best of swimmers.
Sure that
Gildos.
Well, I may not have any cold spells, but I do have anything that can slow down, so I'll cast the old reliable around me.
Very
Anything
nice.
All the body members I can be non-targets. So let's see, I believe is
Wisdom saving throw.
yeah, it's only when they start the turn though, so
Alrighty.
just putting it out there. But once their initiative order put down the thing. So yeah, it's my turn.
By the way, Evan, it was a CR1 brown bear that you saw.
Aha. Okay. I have the stats up for that.
Alrighty. Very nice, Gildos. Eleanor, on her turn now, seeing that the creature was affected by something cold, she thinks to herself and realizes she doesn't have any freezing spells. However, thinking on her feet, Eleanor is going to attempt to cast she's going to cast this spell for now. See how that works on it. Which is a hit. She's going to attack the one that has already been weakened by Gildos and Bub. So that is... Oh, I forgot to add in the extra damage die from her current necklace. So it takes 16 force damage. Tulio's turn. So on Tulio's turn, he is going to take aim at the water elemental that you just damaged, Alon. Hey! Let go of my drinking buddy. He needs to be drinking something else, not more water, come on! So he does 26 damage. Rocktopus!
I mean, it doesn't also hurt that Delon helped freeze it, so he is actually doing chunk damage.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it.
No, it's basically has 10 feet of movement, so it can't even fully submerge if it wanted to at the moment.
That's what you get, punk.
Rocktopus! Your turn.
Bubbery.
Cedric
Alright,
Bubbery,
Rocktopus
the
is
Rocktopus.
Cedric Bubbery the Rocktopus.
Such a
Alright.
bubbery.
So,
Dark Bubbus. The runt.
No, so we're technically on the ice, right?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, tentacle attack.
Alright, so even with flanking, which adds a +1 to your roll, Bub, that does not hit because it is a 7, or technically an 8. So that does not hit, unfortunately.
Okay. That's my turn.
Poor Bub with the bad roll. So the water elemental's turn. Oh, wisdom save. All right. So DC 14. Yep. Make wisdom save now.
Yeah, that's the full 20.
All right. So it takes 20 damage just for existing. Believe it's one of these. Yeah, it doesn't succeed. So it will make 2 slam attacks on you, Gildos, as you were the one causing the most damage to it.
Alright, that's a hit. That's not a hit, right?
I believe if you actually meet the base AC, it's a hit.
Yep. Unless you have 19.
If only. That's 12. 11. Let me just do that
23.
as well. I got concentration, I believe, as well.
Yes, you do.
Shit.
So the water elemental that it still has the hold of Yorm is going to attempt to slam on you, Delon.
Okay. Ooh, 1 hit.
You will be taking 15 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
Yorm remains floating in the water elemental's stomach. Delon.
Yeah. So just give me a second. So I had temporary hit points, so I'm just
Oh,
getting rid
yes,
of that
yes.
right now. We had 10 extra hit points.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, don't forget about that, boys.
Uh,
So I'm down to just 41 because the taking that 10 hit.
Indeed.
All right. Delon is then going to. I'm going to back up 5. So not to get an attack of opportunity. I will then have my because. And then for that he's going to have to come to me. He's going to have to come on land if he wants to fight me. He's going to come to me. In the meantime, I'm tempted to use another Ray of Frost, but honestly, I need to get Yorm out of there as quickly as possible. So I'm going to use an Eldritch Blast with radiant damage to try to blast through its stomach. Now it's a bit frozen.
Nice.
14. Hopefully that hits.
That does hit.
Okay.
Roll damage.
Eldritch Blast. Only 7. Keep rolling 1s.
Still good, juicy damage. Alrighty.
Excelsior.
Excelsior! You blast it with your radiant eldritch blast, your radiant blast, so to speak, and it impacts heavily with its watery bulk, lighting it up, kind of like in almost a watery display of natural beauty. It would be quite a spectacle if it weren't so deadly.
Yep.
Ophelia is going to mutter an incantation. Cast Wither and Bloom. As she invokes both death and life upon a 10-foot radius sphere centered at a point within range. Each creature of her choice in that area must make a Constitution saving throw, taking 2d6 necrotic on a failed, or half as much on a success. In addition, one creature of your choice that you in that area can spend and roll one of its unspent hit dice and regain a number of hit points. As she gestures to near Gildos and Bub. Gildos, you can use a hit die if you wish. As she will need to make a con save. Which it fails. It's going to take 2d6.
Imagine finding Constitution save like a +4. But then again, this is kind of high at this point. I don't know.
Her DC is decently high. Alrighty. Gildos. So the water elemental seems to be having a hard time staying together. Parts of it just splosh onto the glacier, as if not even managing to maintain its watery bearing.
Man, imagine if I had like destroy water prepared. Could have tried that, but
You didn't think I'm on a boat. They don't need the.
there's enough water around. Let's see. Honestly, I think I'll just do some more guiding bolt. Because honestly, like I would hit him with my maces and all, with Searing Smite, but I doubt he'll do anything good anyway. So,
Probably run, or else it's gonna grapple you.
dude, the other 8 grapples me than me, but there's someone else. That's why I moved down.
Tank Gildos, doing tank things, pulling aggro.
And incidentally, that was what Spirit of Guardian was for, to get down its movement by half. They wouldn't get to the other party members. And you know, I got strength. I'll be fine. Yeah, anyway. I think I'll do normal level 1 guiding bolt. Yeah.
Very nice. So it takes big juicy damage.
Yeah.
And the party can tell that this specific water elemental looks like it's this close to just poofing out of existence. It is just dropping large slams of water all over the place as the water slowly restitches itself into its base.
I do damage.
Indeed. So Eleanor is going to cast she's going to cast Slow. So, let's see. A 40-foot cube. Can she potentially? Cool. So seeing that these things are hardier than she first thought, she casts Slow on essentially the glacier the party is on. So they need to make a wisdom saving throw. To which they both fail. Miraculously. So now, both water elementals, their speed is halved, they take a -2 penalty to AC and dexterity saving throws, and they can't use their reactions.
Hey, she finally got to use her slow spell.
Cease your movements. Leave us be, gentle spirits. Tulio will shake his head and simply fire another crossbow. Gentle spirits, Eleanor? These things are trying to drown us. That is one of the least gentle ways to kill someone. As he shoots the one that is holding Yorm, as it takes 27 damage. Thank goodness for Tulio's magic items. Cedric Bubbery, the Roctopus.
Alright, Cedric Bubbery is gonna
Honestly, I kind of want that to be his
tentacles
legit
and then
name.
fail horribly for another turn.
Oh, poor Bob. What have you been rolling? You've been rolling twos.
Marshall, it's the Battle Brother music.
Is the Battle Brother music, so he's getting RNG screwed. Poor Bub.
I mean, Yorm's turn today.
the water elemental's turn. So they will attempt. Let's see. If it can, creature affected with the spell can make another wisdom save throw at the end of its turn. A successful save, the effect ends for it. So at the end of its turn. So until then, it's going to make another slam attack. Oh, even with -2 AC, that still doesn't hit. Damn. Poor Bob. So it slams on you, Gildos, and then 1 on the Roctopus. So Gildos, you take 10 damage, Roctopus takes 11 damage. Finally, the last one moves onto land a little bit, dragging Yorm a little with it, as it slams at you, Delon. However, it's moving at a snail's pace, physically struggling to even bring its arm down on you with the same impressive, overwhelming force of water that you would have expected. So Velisay is easily able to just dip right out of the way of both slams as if they were being thrown by a child in a frenzy.
Mm-hmm.
Delon, your turn.
Alright. Once had enough of this. Now that Norm's kind of sort of on land, I'm going to roll Breath Weapon and just should it be better to use Breakfast? I don't think it takes. It is magically imbued, but it is water. It's kind of useless in that situation. I'll just do a breath weapon and hope for the best.
Alright. Rolls his leaf.
21 radiant.
Alrighty, so let's see. It's going to roll a dex save with disadvantage. Yeah, it fails.
It does not make it. Take 21 radiance as Delon just is getting tired of it. Release him now! Bomb my laser breath.
So as you blast it with your holy radiance, gifted to you by the Pearl Dragon, everyone can see that the water elemental begins to sparkle and shimmer, as if affected by fairy fire. Ophelia is going to...
Good God, how much HP do they have?
They're huge, so
they
a lot.
They have a good amount. They have a good amount.
Huge.
So Ophelia is going to... So she can't quite reach. Let's see here. She's just going to lob a corrupting blast at the one Delon attacked, which is a crit. So getting quite sick and tired of these water creatures as well, as they're stagnating your journey, and she does not quite like an obstacle to this degree in her way, Ophelia mutters the incantation for her corrupting blast, as a black ball of energy shoots straight towards the water elemental, and just kind of envelops it. And it slowly, just kind of bit by bit, the water just kind of splashes harmlessly onto the ground, leaving Yorm in its wake, killing one of the water elementals. Return that lie, spirit, to the realm of peace and tranquility. Gildos, that leaves you with this one.
Finish him.
Speaking of peace and quiet, I think Bob and I will want some of it as well. So, cast the old reliable.
Alright, how do you finish it? How do you defeat this one?
I mean, she did like necrotic damage, right?
She did.
But let's do the exact same thing Ophelia did, except with this positive energy. It's of quote-unquote negative energy.
Alright. So as your blast of radiant energy overwhelms the creature, it slowly fizzles, water just harmlessly dropping into a puddle onto the glacier. Both water elementals defeated. Alrighty. Congratulations on defeating the 2 water elementals. The waves of this water and the tumultuous tide still seem to tremble beneath the glacier. The Minotaur has been holding his tree branch, his sort of fallen tree trunk in his hands, ready to swing at anything that comes near him. But sensing the battle has come to an end, he slowly waits for you all to get more towards the center of the barge, and then begins shoving off again like nothing happened. Once everybody is gathered back together, Delon, I imagine you pick up Yorm and bring him back over as well?
Yes.
Alrighty. So as everybody makes their way back to the center of the barge, I want... let's see... Actually... I need to roll something. Blasted 19.
I also sent you a DM.
Blasted 19?
Can I like swim under water and make sure there aren't any other things that are around here with my Octo camo activated?
You can definitely do that.
Cool.
So, Bub, as
That's
you're
what I'd
swimming
like
in
to
the
do.
water, you can see that there are a bunch of big underwater creatures in the water here. There's a lot of big creatures in the water. But for the most part, yeah, you are fine. They do not take much heed of you. But they are, after the battle that happened above, they've kind of gotten a little more skittish. They've kind of made themselves, they're giving y'all some space, seeing that, like, y'all are quite powerful up there. However, in the water, you can feel a bit of a disturbance of sorts, but it's hard to place. Your, Gildos, I rolled a shit roll, so, Gildos, you can see that there is a figure in the swimming away in the distance that is now safely out of view. Safely out of view for most. But you can see a red cloak.
Oh, it's those guys again. I explained it to you last time, so you should know about them.
I have to remember about that, but like I don't have my notes unfortunately, so
Yeah, remember when we were at the bandit camp? There was like this weird, like red cloak dude magically.
Yeah,
like,
Yeah, and then they teleported.
yeah, it's the biggest to say. No, it's not them, it's yeah.
Also, Marshall, I sent you DM. Just so as a reminder.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Well,
Want me to follow after him?
well, but you're underwater, so I don't think I could quite tell you about that. And I think given what Marshall has said,
See, this is why I wanted a
late.
telepathy thing.
Yeah, but I think it's already too late anyway.
He's made some good distance from you. It's not that it would be impossible to catch up, it's just that it'd be a difficult roll.
Well, yeah, it's just by the time you get back on land, like blah blah blah, it's probably another. But yeah, I'll just wait until like everybody's back on the ship. Well, ship. You get me.
So, Bob, I imagine with your Octo Camo, you're essentially going to be swimming outside the barge now to make sure nothing else catches y'all by surprise from under the water?
I mean,
Alright.
I got like almost 5 more hours left of this transformation. Might as well use it.
Right. I'll just pick up and say, well, if you're wondering whether that attack was by pure chance or not, well, I'll tell you, seems to be to have been orchestrated by one of those red cloaked fellas we've already encountered before.
This does not bode well. If we are being set before obstacles by a third party, then they have a reason to wish to stop us. Don't worry too much about it. As this was amateur hour, in my opinion. There should have been 3 water elementals. That's what I would have done.
I know, right? But nevertheless, means it will be the last, and he's not the first. So, guess we have to double down and keep an eye out.
I like the way you think, Gildos. Stuff like that'll keep us alive. Speaking of doubling down and keeping an eye out, we're getting close to landfall. So, DeLon, what exactly was that topic that had Harkin so spooked, eh? I didn't hear too much about it, I just saw the man on edge.
Ah, you're referring to the question I asked him about Sovereign.
Yeah, what was that all about? Harkin's usually a much more laid-back individual. But I could tell a man who was ready to defend himself with his life at a mere sight.
Aye. Well, how do I put it? Delon actually will take a moment. He is going to grab a barrel, and he's going to place it in front of him, and he's going to ask for a map. For their map, I guess. Lady Eleanor, could I perhaps get your map?
Of course. To which she retrieves it from the cart and places it on the barrel for you.
Thank you. Thank thee. Here. We are in the land of monsters. When I brought up the black dragon amulet that we had found, and what we found to you, your ladyship, he refers to Ophelia. We found this necklace. This is not the first time we've encountered this black dragon cult. We encountered it before. Isn't that right, Sir Gildas? Ma'am?
Yeah, no, I agree.
We had encountered a rogue of goblins and an orc. They were making or using artificial spells, so to speak, contained within a crystal. I don't know the magics quite, but that's what led us later into Asterium, and to question about it. But in the meantime, there was this black idol made from the dragon, made of obsidian, and a magic user. I brought this to the attention of the Pearl Dragon. She inquired further and started speaking on the Black Dragon, as it were. Along which came a conversation about a land named Sovereign. Delon points to the outside of the map where there's an island. Apparently there was a territory, a kingdom. Apparently of great splendor and magical power. Outside of the Land of Kings, the only empire outside of it. It was beautiful. Didn't like outsiders, was very careful in who entered and who was allowed entry into this place. But according to the Pearl Dragon, it was absolutely beautiful. Although she had only seen it briefly as a younger dragon, she did not get to see its splendor. Unfortunately, none really will ever again, as the entire kingdom was destroyed. Destroyed by a dragon, no less. The Black Dragon.
That's a shame. Never really met many of the more nefarious dragon types, but from what I've heard, a dragon is a dangerous creature that one should avoid at all costs. Eleanor's brow furrows. The black dragon wiped out an entire civilization.
In the story of the Pearl Dragon, she stated, he arrived quickly after his assault at King's Landing. He licked his wounds with pride and made his way to Sovereign. No warning, no preparation. He arrived in black fire and laid his flame upon the land, conquering it within a day. Still, my lady assures me that there are others out there that know of Sovereign, former inhabitants. She is curious into seeing its preservation, which is why I inquired to hearken. But I did not expect such tense defense over it, such intensity. He was clearly hiding something. I don't blame him, but clearly there's a piece from this puzzle missing. He knows something he's willing to die for. And if Harkin's not willing to share something, that means it must have grave importance.
You think other people would react like that too? I mean,
It's entirely possible. I hardly even remember that there was a place called Sovereign. Had I not have an interest in history, I doubt I'd even know it. There are works out there, so it is impossible there were people, but to that reaction, no. I think Harkin knows something that even others might not. Perhaps he delved too deep, as he does, and decided the risks were too much for continuing. I don't know, and I can't say. 'Tis none of any of my recollection or understandings, but as the Pearl Dragon has asked me to do so, I view it as one of my quests. I just have to be careful in who I question. And how
You want
I
me to
think it.
question him for you, Chief? I'm sure I could find a way to get some information out of him. Maybe get him a bit drunk, get him around some beautiful ladies. Men have a habit of expelling some extra juicy secrets when they're especially comfortable.
Speaking of juicy secrets, as well intentioned as that, you don't think I haven't noticed you trying to slip past your your casual reference to these fellow in red cloaks. You know something about them.
Eh? What are you talking about, Chief? Just humble little summoner summoning 2 water elementals when he should have summoned 3.
Curious, because when we mentioned it before at the camp, you mentioned something, a familiarity with them. You weren't surprised in the least, and this time you were equally unsurprised. Delon's gonna roll persuasion, just because I can, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Come on, spill the beans. You
Don't you get advantage on that?
He does. 25.
Damn.
So what do you say with a 25?
25. Montoyo, I understand you're worried about this. That's understandable. I'm not asking you to tell me secrets or things that might cause us more issue. But this is our 3rd encounter with these people. 3 times. Once a coincidence. Second time, perhaps a a strange event, series of events, but this 3 times, that's a pattern. They are watching us. I want to know why. And if you have any information on it, at least a little, it would behoove you to alert to me now. As is a, as my soldier, I am asking you. Please.
So Tulio's gaze moves around all of the party members as he very subtly positions himself slightly away from all of you all.
Hmm.
He did so while you were talking. But
Mhm.
afterwards, with a hand on the hilt of his rapier and one hand kind of just twirling his crossbow around. Well then, Chief. You weren't very interested in such secrets when you first hired me, when I was offering them very willingly, with the stipulation that the more you know, the more dangerous things get. But now that you've seen that what they're capable of, you're interested, eh?
I merely wish to know what to expect. It's a simplistic approach, is it not?
Well, if you want to know what to expect the unexpected. Expect daggers in your back, poisons in your blankets, curses in your wines, succubi as your maids.
Hmm.
Creatures that could have appeared naturally, but probably didn't.
You said the man in the road was a summoner. You assume these water elementals were corrupted?
No, they weren't corrupted. If they were corrupted, would have been much stronger and much more belligerent. No, they were likely summoned here with some sort of spiritual water or a relic of some sort, and then they were pointed in the direction of a problem to solve and left to their own devices. Usually how that works. After all, we got a few problems to solve here, don't we? Blaspheming a former assassin, a not so undead lich, and a bunch of troublesome people who like to get their nose in other especially important people's business. Oh, and an upstart war chief at that as well.
So we were already targets from the beginning. They're just being more thorough. Or are they testing us?
Oh, nah, Chief, they're not testing you. They've been watching you for a while, that's probably it. They likely expected 2 water elementals to do the trick. They don't like failure. So when one option doesn't work, well, it's not that they enjoy overkill when underkill didn't work, but they've been known to ratchet things up after a certain point. They demand results.
And these individuals, they're ones you worked with previously, correct?
You see as he just kind of gives a shrug, tapping his nose a little bit. No idea, Chief. Can't say I know any of those masked figures personally.
I'll not roll inside because I feel like it's not that he worked for them, the more he was part of them, kind of thing. So
Yeah, go for it, man.
Ooh, 25. Alright,
Damn
so
right.
Tulio's actually going to roll a
Damn.
deception roll to attempt something. See how this works. Uh-huh. So, as you're watching him, Gildos, he is definitely withholding a very specific, most likely incredibly incriminating part of information from you.
So say, you know, Tulio, I've seen people come and go from my forge. And you don't know how many stories, different stories, bad, good, not so bad, not so good, I've heard. And, you know, it's easy to tell when people have something to hide. That's very, very incriminating in your case. So, that may just be my personal opinion, but I wouldn't say you work for them. The more you will remember at some point. Am I wrong?
So you see as his smile leaves his face, and his eyes narrow ever so slightly, his hand sort of thumbing his belt a little. You could say something like that, perhaps?
Mm-hmm. And I assume that comes with all the baggage it entails, comes with, after all. Not just attempted murder like that, but much worse things, potentially. Not the kind of stuff you would do with, say, a group like us, or the bandits we found you with. Now, not judging, just want all bases covered so we know what to deal with, what to expect. Of course, you won't have to feel guilty about anything or feel like you're being outcast because of what you did. Well, personally, I don't mind. So in the past, clearly moved on. There's no point dwelling on it. But for others, not so much.
After you say that, Gildos, Eleanor chips in. I understood you were a criminal, but at Delon's good word, I allowed you into our group. And I will begrudgingly admit you've done good work. You have made yourself useful, and you have very rarely, if ever, slacked that I could ever catch you doing. So I understand your work ethic, even if you appear to be extremely lazy and not even a good worker. You clearly make a point to make yourself worth the coin you're being paid for. However, if you were a part of an even more foul, nefarious organization, what's to say that you aren't still a member of that? Are you spying on us? At the mention of spying on the party, Tulio just raises one eyebrow. If I were spying on you, this conversation would never be happening. Fact of the matter is, darling, that I'm a lot more rusty than I used to be. Happens when you reach my age. You get slower.
Mm-hmm.
If I were spying on you, I wouldn't constantly break your balls, honey. I'd be the perfect little soldier you want me to be.
I concur with Isaac. I see where Montoya is coming from. I also agree that if he was spying for us, Montoya, truly speaking, I'm not Isaac. I am aware of your abilities. That's why I hired you. You were truly spying on us. Be step in step, wouldn't you? wouldn't even make a single utterance of your own opinion.
If I were to spy on you, the only opinions I'd voice were the ones that are the ones y'all wanted to hear.
Mm.
Again, I'd be the perfect little soldier, rank and file, following orders. I wouldn't give you all so much trouble.
Mm.
Giving you trouble
Indeed.
arouses suspicion. Giving you trouble implies insubordination, which arises more suspicion, which draws us more light and more eyes than a true spy ever wants to get their hands on. They want to get all the information they can without anyone noticing.
If 25 can't see past his lies, then there's no point.
Delon just needs to know, so he rolled a 20.
So it's 20. So, DeLon, he's definitely telling the truth. Everything he listed is exactly what a spy would do. Even as a minor noble, you know that spies are very good at playing the game, essentially. They're the ultimate types that are the best at playing the brown-nosing game without ever making you feel like they're brown-nosing. They brush shoulders with nobles, with commoners, with merchants, with anyone, and everyone believes they're their best friend. But the spies tend to be the first ones to stab them in the back without them ever knowing that they did it. You know that if Tuli were going to stab you in the back, he would have done it by now.
Right. Indeed. Again, I acknowledge Montulio was not being a spy. He truly wanted to enact on his master's orders. There were plenty of opportunities that we wouldn't even be here at this moment. In fact, this is an opportune moment. He would have done so. Alone on an ice barge. With his dexterity and speed, as trusty as you say you are, he gives a nod and a smile. Not many of us would have had a chance to fight off against you. He's picking us off one by one.
A few accidental crossbow shots here and there, hitting a certain fellow while he's trapped in water, you know.
Indubitably.
Shooting the ice, causing some glacier parts to cave in, causing an entire horse and a heavily armored combatant to sink into the waters. Not to mention all the times you were all asleep and I was left with night watch.
Or in a couple of pounds of collateral.
See? He gives you a grin, Geldos. Now you're thinking like an assassin. That'll keep you alive.
Yeah, I'll come back onto the boat. It's obvious that we're not getting another encounter, so.
Yes, by this point, by the way, the ferryman has just kept rowing. He's not really paying attention. That's not what he's here for, so he doesn't care.
No. Yeah.
It's
He's
probably
on his business. I just row the boat.
If anything, every once in a while you swear he rolls his blind eyes at you.
In any case, I don't use again. You're not a spy, Montulio. I think that's for certain. If you were, there were many moments and evidences we would have proved otherwise. I'm not enacting whether or not you have no sense of loyalty. That's not why I'm here. I only brought it up because you seem to have a familiarity. You said as much when we first met you. I inquire about the information now, or at least somewhat information, just to know what I was expecting. You've done so. If you wish to give us more information, that's fine. You can do so with me or in private or Eleanor.
Well, if you want
Not
more
either
information,
it's
Chief, you just need to ask. I said as much when you hired me. See, I like getting paid. I like being employed. I like moving. And it's in my
That's
best
fine.
interest to keep my employers alive. And just not, and again, just so you understand, the more you know, the more at risk you become. They don't like their
Understood.
dirty little secrets getting brought to the light. So if you can handle it, ask away.
Hmm. Delon's gonna glance at all the other party members and go, really want this.
Ophelia will chip up.
Hmm.
Montulio, I desire to know what your position within this organization was. You were no rank-and-file soldier, you were no grunt, clearly. Precisely what position did you once fulfill? Ah, cutting deep, eh, mistress? Course. You know, I used to have somebody like you that I was pretty close with. She also liked to get right to the point. Well then, if you really want to know, once upon a time, I wasn't just an assassin. I was one of their best. Why, I did so many secret coups, so many nixing of certain public officials and made it look completely natural that some would never even know that certain people are in power because of me. Where certain people, unfavorables or favorable, fell from power because of me. And before you start getting all morally superior on me, I did what I had to do to survive. Fact of the matter is that society pays really well. So not just was I a high-tier assassin, but I was what one could argue is one of their higher echelons. So I'm privy to a lot of state secrets.
Hmm.
I see. So then it is an organization about setting up and deposing certain positions of power. It is a shadow organization. Right on the money. Arguably, the shadow organization.
They've been watching us. Wonderful.
Don't be too upset, Chief. They watch everyone of worth.
Ah, quite the contrary. Not upset. Just good to know what I'm up against.
As the party is getting very close to landfall, Eleanor will ask one more question. I apologize for accusing you of treachery then, Tulio. However, I was simply worried that we had somebody spying on us in our midst. However, until then, I simply just wish to ask, you may not be spying on us, but are you truly protecting us from these people too? Yeah, so many accusations.
You're a fallen assassin, dude.
To answer your question, Eleanor, no, I ain't protecting you from anyone unless we're outwardly attacked. The moment the party is attacked, the moment this entourage is attacked, I defend, regardless from who. My employers are paying me well.
Mm-hmm.
So then, that's it. As long as we continue to pay you well, you'll continue to protect us even from them. Right on the money, darling. I'm a very simple man. I like coin, I like working. I'm sorry, I have a hard time believing it could be quite so simple. You pay me 50 gold a job. I'm keeping a tally. At the end of it all, I will have a tally that I will show to you all. That is all of my charges and expenses. Until then, I keep you alive, you keep paying me. It's a wonderful arrangement, don't you agree? Yes, I do. then we will continue to enjoy your defensiveness and offensiveness and practical skills when not in combat. And I will continue to be paid for those skills. Oh, just so you all know as well, they like the Savage Lands. It's the kind of
Wonderful.
underbelly they get along with.
Of course they do. But thank you for the heads up. Very appreciative, Montaru.
Of course. Now, Chief, we really need to talk about my wage.
No, I think that's a topic we should. We'll do so when we can.
Excellent.
Well, speaking of the Savage Lands, where are we heading first?
Indeed. We have several locations we could go to. And since we already have a map, where do we think we want to go first?
Oh, considering what we're looking for and the possible places we can go to, I was thinking perhaps could try and find one of those elven cities so can get at least some information and maybe a guide. That would be a good start. But
So, there are two cities. When we move across the ice barges, going across the moon, we will meet at a center here, which will be the mountain pass, which will dip us into the High Elven area. There is the High Elven city here. If we move across from the High Elven city, which Harkin wanted to go to, as a reminder, as he was finishing his journey, we could then dip down, or alternatively, we also have to dip down to the Wood Elven city. That is also an option. I think we should visit them regardless. They would be a much more understanding guide, especially someone who would know the swamp areas or the deeper forests where, if I recall, the Bridget has assigned you to look for a temple.
right.
Of
But other than knowing the general location of it, I don't exactly know where to go or where to look for. That's why,
I'm afraid I don't know, my friend.
that's why I wanted to at least ask the locals if they knew anything about that. To all, temple in the middle of the forest that must stand out for them, even if, well, it's overgrown.
You have a point. And of course, on our pathway to go to the mountain pass, which has been blocked close to Asterium, we'll have to pass by the swamp at some point, which means inevitably we will run into the green dragon, which the blue dragon asked us to implore it to return it back. What it is, it never specifically described.
So, thinking about it, it could very much give us anything, and we'll be none the wiser.
True. You will be none the wiser, unfortunately. Although, I'm sure the green dragon knows exactly what it is the blue dragon wants. It's just a matter of how did my lady put it? Ah, yes. He snaps his fingers. She said something along the lines of, he is a child, play a game. He likes games. If you play his game, he will reward you. So perhaps that's our end, if we do happen to encounter the green dragon. Before
Eleanor
any of
nods.
that...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, Eleanor nods and pipes up a little bit. I'm still against heading towards the High Elf City. I'd rather avoid such unpleasantries. But if we must head there for information and supplies, I won't deny We will be well taken care of if we arrive there. I can't guarantee we'll receive much in the way of useful supplies, but they will have a bulk of information. That is the type of environment that they thrive in.
Hmm.
And if we head for the Wood Elf cities, then we can expect potentially gear and, well, environments and knowledge good for the central part of the Savage Lands and the northern area. Less so the swamps, from my understanding. They do not dabble in the swamps very frequently. They treat it as a no man's land or a do not head there type of venture. Tulio pipes up. Well, if from my last experiences here, they're smart to treat that area like that. I may not have ever found the mark that I had in that area, but I'm sure as I'm much more happy to just assume that those swamps ate him alive. Damn, or nearly did me. And from my personal experiences, I can concur with Eleanor's assessment. The Wood Elves will be extremely practical and will likely give us a warm welcome, and the High Elves will... well, they'll be extremely welcoming to some of us, perhaps, and very welcoming to others, as much as nobility can be. But if we can get in, we're very likely to be well fed, have extremely comfortable chambers, and all for the low price of having to stuff our dignity someplace else.
Well, what say you? You are the druid here, after all.
Let's see. So, based on my objectives, I'm trying to find out where the poachers are, and let's see, the dire wolf's forest. So those are kind of like my two objectives.
You're also looking for the area to get a totem back.
That too. But you know, you have a good idea where that's probably at. It's probably in the temple.
Tribe. Yeah. The temple.
An old temple in the swampy area, which was mentioned to once be a temple of men, but has since been reclaimed by the woods.
That's in the swamps, though. So
true.
I know Remby and I need to get there, but is there anything we could do before that?
As for poachers, you have a marked location, Bub, where you've been told the poachers like to meet.
Mm-hmm.
You know that is in the foresty area, essentially.
All right. Well, I guess that would be my vote, unless we want to go to one of the cities first. Which will be fine. I mean, it's not going to be hard to find something to do in the city.
Let's see. Logistically speaking, we're already close to the High Elf City. We meet Harkin there. We can inquire upon certain information, the things that we could use on our travels. We wouldn't have to stay long. Harkin takes care of his business. And then we move down to the Woodland City where we can get practical information. We can meet up and go from there. We would have a much more local understanding of the area. And a warmer welcome. We could stay there for a longer period of time while we navigate our way to eventually meeting your place, to the temple.
Well, all right. I suppose that makes sense.
And then from there, we make our way, running the swamp as much as we can until we get to the temples. Then make our way to the other side of the mountain pass, where we find out what has been plaguing the other side. Does this sound suspicious to everyone?
I believe that will do well. One other thing I wish to bring up while we're here. As we are in the Savage Lands, There were a few places or locations I might wish to venture to for potion ingredients. It's entirely optional, we do not need to do them, but they would allow me to make more powerful potions.
Well, if they're on the way, you might as well stop by, really.
Indeed. I don't see much of an issue.
Excellent. I thank you for your efforts, then.
Hmm.
So then I'm fine to understand we're heading for the High Elf City first?
Yes,
It
well,
seems.
I believe so. We'll meet up with Harkin and then make our way there.
So be it.
Literally wants to see anything else besides the elves.
I know. Delon's eyes narrow at that. You can see this is upsetting her, but he tried. I'm gonna roll persuasion for everyone. This is just cheer everyone up.
I've already been persuaded.
Persuade even harder.
No, it rolls a 1 now. I'm no longer persuaded.
I nat roll
You
one
had
to
me
remove
at
it.
City, and now I don't think I want to go there.
Exactly.
You had me at warm bed.
Oh, God.
Then you mentioned racism, and I decided to go the other way.
Pretty much.
Alrighty, an 18.
It's fine. Delon says something along the lines of, "Don't eat." Well, Ithaca, to warm beds and warm comfort. I'm sure things will be ours, right? And we won't have to stay there long. We'll meet up with Harkin, and things will work themselves out. Come on, chaps. Let's all get to it.
Tulio nods, tosses a coin in the air as a monkey swings by and snatches it. He immediately shoots a crossbow at the monkey, shoots it down, walks over and grabs the coin. Yes, as he pockets the coin. Let's head out of this place. Someplace much more civilized. Damn little creatures.
No monkeys.
Tulio just lost more coins than that one coin.
That's fine, I can skin it later. He picks it up by the tail and just throws it over his back.
Does that occur that he was perhaps a poacher in that moment?
Well, so Bub would say, no, well, the monkey stole from him first, so the monkey couldn't defend him. Could have defended himself and got away, so it's okay.
Yeah, technically the monkey provoked Tulio, so as the laws of nature, it provoked a predator, so...
Yeah,
The
literally,
monkey broke
yeah,
the
exactly.
NAP.
Exactly
The monkey broke
right.
the NAP.
It was not smart.
But as everyone's getting ready to go, Ophelia begins nodding, beginning to walk along her way as she keeps a vigil watch out, and Eleanor walks over to the cart, starts ruffling around in a chest that she brought, eventually retrieving a vial. Well then, if we are heading to the High Elven City, then, while I did not particularly enjoy the idea of this, I must make myself look more of the part once we head that way.
You see.
They would never, in even 300,000 years, allow a drow to set foot in that city.
And why is that, actually?
Because the way that the views that the drows and the high elves have on life and the roles that the elves must fill are entirely at odds with each other. Think about it like traditionalism in the truest sense versus classism in a shove towards the future and modernity, if you will.
Well, that's a fancy word for good old-fashioned racism.
In a sense, yes. Oh, speaking of which, Do not take anything that I say to heart while we're in there, please. I will explain more once we are within the walls. Simply put, I will be playing a role.
Well, if what you said before is true, then, or what was said before is true, then I think I get the gist of it.
She nods at you. Thank you. And do not let their provocations get you down. Well, bottoms up and off to the Elven City. She pops the cork and drinks it down. You see, as in a sort of flash of light, as if her whole body has been covered in magic, she shifts and twists and sort of morphs around a bit. The potion taking full effect.
Hmm.
Let's see. Give me one moment. I think I have the wrong token type. Let me see. Yep, here we go.
Ah. Ojo-sama.
When the glow is gone, instead of the dusky, white-haired, rather curvy woman that you saw Eleanor as until now, is a pale-skinned, beautiful red-lipped, blue-eyed, still white-haired, but no less beautiful seductress of an elf. One that looks incredibly royal and like she's never set a day outside of a temple in her life.
Hmm.
Alright then. Those of you who went to her estate and saw a portrait of a beautiful high elf lady wearing an extremely poofy gown immediately recognized this woman. It is the picture Eleanor had in their family portrait at their estate.
Well, you also had the wanted poster.
True. So you all have seen her, but not in the flesh like this until now. Mostly in another's depiction of her.
Hmm.
And without further ado, the crack of the whips, the cart begins heading onwards as the party begins making their way towards the direction of the High Elf City. I need a nature or investigation roll.
By the power of nature. 17.
Alright. So, Bub, do you want to roll that d4?
Yeah. No, I don't want to get a bonus. Yeah, 21.
Alright. So, Bub, as you begin kind of guiding the party through the woods, it becomes blatantly apparent that the woods themselves move and shift as you travel through them. This forest, the entire thing, is alive. Which, no surprise to you as a druid, but now that you're a little more experienced as a druid, you're a little more aware of the extent of the life this entire Savage Land forest has. It's like a living, breathing, massive creature.
Ooh. Well, the forest is alive and it's moving. But I think I can find my way through this because I got a 21.
Indeed. Luckily, Bub, you are able to guide the party through the woods and make excellent progress as you arrive near a spiritual-looking glade, which is shown as follows on the map.
I also sent you the.
Let me see here. But yes, now that y'all are in the spiritual glade, those of you who have a more divine or natural type of magic to them, so Bub, Gildos, and Delon especially, can tell, just those three especially, can tell that this place is incredibly spiritual. It is incredibly dense in magic. You can see spiritual deers and spiritual creatures literally walking around, fey creatures watching around. When you get to this area, Delon, Velisay starts walking with more poise, with a pep in his step. And every once in a while, a deer will kind of bow to Velisay. Velisay will simply keep walking and incline his head as if nodding to a subject or something.
Have you come home, my friend? Is this where you came from?
You can't help but feel like Velisay is smirking a little.
Oh, if I knew I was with royalty. I've gotten you more apples.
You feel as if Velisay is saying, well, better start now, you have apples to make up for.
Cheeky.
But
Should I
alrighty.
walk by myself, my liege?
But alrighty, with the party traveling in this spiritual glade, things are very warm. Not welcoming, but warm. You feel as if, due to the fact that you have Velisay with you, these creatures are much more kind to you than they would be if you walked into this glade without permission. However,
Yes. Let's fight the alpha. Yeah, let's say show who's alpha.
as you get further into the glade, you find a beautiful open spring where this spiritual energy and spiritual magic, as well as all the spirits, seem to congregate in a place of peace. Bub, you recognize this as a place, essentially a sacred place, a holy land within the woods themselves, a sacred place for nature and spirits and the natural order. You've actually been here before, Bub, as part of your druid training.
Oh.
Yeah. Go get you some.
You had to drink from the sacred pool.
Time to double dip, bub.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Well, I'm back.
As you say this, Bub, a bird kind of lands on your head and briefly pecks at you a little bit before just kind of making itself comfortable. You can also feel that the animals and creatures of the woods are slowly coming out as if to approach you, Bub. You see squirrels, a few raccoons, a few birds and the like. You even see some bigger, more predatory creatures, as well as deer and the like.
Cool. Yeah, so I'll say, hello, I am Bub, envoy of the Blue Dragon. Thank you for coming to greet me. I am back, and well, that's about it.
The animals and of this glade simply kind of nod at you, Bub, and slowly begin going back about their business here and there. As the party arrives in the glade, Eleanor is just spellbound by it. This place is absolutely beautiful. Tulio is kind of looking around, but you notice that he is trying to keep himself quiet within the cart. He has a hand on his weapons.
That's so blasphemous anymore.
Meanwhile, Yorm wakes up within the cart. Oh, I hit my head, I think. Did I party too hard at the festival?
Yorm,
Hey, Delon, did I get blackout drunk?
no, you were during the ice bars. You were attacked by a water elemental. I tried to rescue you in the meantime, but her ladyship of Nightfield decided to put you in a state of undeath to protect you. You've woken up 8 hours later.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the afterlife.
Oh, son of a bitch. How am I gonna make a Mountain Boy family name work now? I'm sorry, guys. I let you all down. You all died because I couldn't keep a watch out for you. At least the afterlife's pretty, I guess.
Sir Gildas, please.
Oh, calm now. Isn't the backdrop perfect for that?
I
Delon is
concur.
actually stifling a laugh.
If I was a little less on edge, I would have done the same.
Delon stifles a laugh, even though he is smiling.
Oh.
No, Yom. Welcome back to the world of living.
Oh, we are living then? Oh, thank goodness. I thought it felt weird that I still had a hankering for the wantings and trappings of life despite being dead. But thank you, your ladyship. Oh, I don't have any memory of what happened. Last thing I remember was the festival, having a great smashing good time. Though I do remember a feeling of absolute chill up my spine. That might have been my magic. Apologies. No harm done, I suppose. Please, didn't make a habit of it. He does not quite feel well. Well, you get used to a chill crawling up your spine eventually, Orm. I'd rather not. So the party is kind of bickering amongst themselves in this place. Gilnos, with your passive perception, you can hear the leaves in the trees sort of bristling like the wind, but it's extremely good. It's an extremely good deception to mask movement. There is a wind blowing, and when the wind stops, the movement stops. But something's in the trees.
Well, then I'll keep watch. Then, where might be? Well, since Tulio is already on edge and all that, keep a watch. I'll fully back up to him. Like point to the trees and tell him to watch out as well.
Tulio just gives you a very slow, subtle nod. Without another word. Yorm is actually going to make a survival roll while here, because you are all actually in Forest, one of his favorite places.
Oh, he critted.
So after waking up, Yorm kind of mooks his way to the front of the cart and just kind of hops out. He staggers a little bit, as if nearly losing his balance. His legs were dead asleep. But after shaking them out and getting himself kind of ripe and ready to go, lighting a cigar in the process. Can't say I've ever been here, but after a right good nap, gotta say, there's about 8 of them in the trees. They're watching us closely. And there's a hidden glade right behind those trees.
Pipe up and say, Yeah, well, they've been pretty smart, moving in with the wind.
I think as long as we don't head towards that hidden glade, and we don't make a scene or cause any problems here, I don't think they'll attack us. They seem to be watching, and I'm watching them. Hello. Mean you no harm, just traveling through. We're heading on over to... Where are we heading?
The High Elf City.
We're heading on over to the High Elf City. Maybe you could help us along. That way we could get out of your woods quicker, you know? You know, from one woodsman to another. Eh? There's very little in the way of response, but when the wind picks up, the leaves once again ruffle, and the movement again happens, Gildos. If you want to make an active perception roll, you could attempt to see more.
I think I will this time.
11.
Ooh. Want to roll that again?
I mean, I do have like an inspiration, but maybe worth it, like using it on that.
Do you want to use
Actually.
D6? Like, heroic inspiration and all that? No? Alright.
I mean,
fine.
I did roll like a 2, so
Yeah, that's fine.
but no, I think I'll keep some mystery.
Alrighty. So Gildos, with an 11, you can't really make out too much, but you can kind of tell that there's definitely footfalls in the trees. They're extremely well trained, though, so you can't tell how many. You're not sure if there's 1 or 100 in the trees. These woods echo with a mysterious vibration that makes senses hard to rely on. But at Yorm's words, after the wind dies down again, suddenly all of you just see a sword is pointed at Yorm's gullet. Someone just basically materialized in front of you all.
Cool.
You see as an invisibility spell has been cancelled, and a knight in pure mithril armor is standing in front of you all. Oh, hello! Yorm just has the most anxious but wide grin on his face. The elf in mithril armor is simply looking over you all with cold, dispassionate eyes before falling on Eleanor, to which he immediately falls to one knee and bows, stabbing his sword into the ground. My ladyship. Yes, yes. Do you have any idea how expensive my men were? Is that any way to treat me? You didn't even bring in the proper amount of guards. 8! No less. 8 guards to account for my visitation. I'm very sorry, my lady. We had no word that you were coming, and you should have needed none. Please, your ladyship. We're simply the watch. We won't do it again. We'll make sure you are properly addressed when you get to the capital. And you will guide us there this instant before my patient wearies further. He immediately rises and brings a simple green leaf to his lips, which he blows on, which makes a indescribable, silent sound. None of y'all can hear it, even Gildos. It just sounds like the blowing of the wind to you, Gildos. Shortly after, 7 figures materialize in the glade around you, all decked out in the same mithril garb. One by one, they flank your cart and your entourage. and begin escorting you through the glade towards the secret passage which Yorm pointed out. The lead knight that's with them approaches the head of the cart and begins speaking with Eleanor. So sorry, my lady. Just so I have it for the report. Who are all these individuals? You have a creature of undeath and a dwarf of all things, multiple humans. What is the case of it all? It is above your pay grade. Simply speaking, these are my men, and I have chosen to bless them with my presence. I see. Then we will have that be known. Should we classify them as willing men, servants, property? They are my property, and they will be treated with utmost care. Of course, not a scratch, my lady.
Just following along, just like mouth trying to hold back laughter this whole time.
Yeah. Delon is glancing his way as well, taking almost every ounce of his fiber not to roll his eyes, but Velese does it in his stead. Too. In the meantime, Delon is just holding his tongue.
The party arrives towards a cliffside. You find that the knights all raise what look like medallions to the heavens as a shimmer of silver moonlight falls on the area in front of you, revealing a secret entrance, a mighty, intricately crafted marble gate, woven seamlessly around and with the woods themselves. Once you arrive in the proper area, my lady, you will of course be greeted by your fellow nobility, and the arrangements have already been set in place. It has been fully communicated. Please enjoy your stay within the High Elf City. Thank you. I will be the judge of whether I enjoy myself or not. Onwards. With that, the guards go back to their patrol, leaving you all kind of moving the cart further in. Once you're not all being 100% viewed as publicly by those guards so closely, all of you could just hear Eleanor give a long sigh. This is exhausting and demeaning.
Well,
For who?
I'll say. Just to tease her, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Your Haughtiness, for granting us the privilege of using your privilege.
She narrows her eyes at you, but holds her head high as somebody passes your party by. She makes a very public display of not even looking at you. She says, "You are most welcome. Make sure you appreciate it." You notice that everyone here wears long, flowing, beautiful gowns made of pure silk. And everyone is decked out with natural beauty, natural jewelry, crystals, pieces of amber, crystallized sap, almost as elemental stones of water or fire or air and the like. They are just decked out with pure natural beauty. Once you get further inside, you all see a big marble square where there is stocks in the center with people chained to the stocks. They have plaques hung around their necks with chain that declare what they have done wrong. Noticeably, there is not a single high elf in the stocks. All of them are other races. There's a human here his reads, "I attempted to steal from the legendary high elves. As punishment, I will pay off what I stole in days in the stocks." There's there is a tabaxi in the stocks whose tail is notably basically chained to the ground.
Hmm.
He has 3 plaques around his neck. One reads, I attempted to rob the Elvish library, and I failed miserably as I was cut at the front gates red-handed. The other says, I escaped the stocks and tried to avoid my punishment. I was justly apprehended with ease. The third one says, if I escape the stocks one more time, I will be put to death, as it is the just cause for those who do not serve their punishments. Even as you walk by, you all can hear fiddling until you all walk closer and he stops. Tulio visibly gives the tabaxi a shaking of his head. Like, nah, don't do it, man.
It's not worth it. Just pay your time.
But also of note is there is a raised podium, a place with essentially a raised marble ceiling with the sky open that allows the sun to shine right into it. Within it, you can see high elf nobility debating each other.
Mm-hmm.
Another ceaseless debate about the purpose of elves in this world. How fun. They stand around all day debating, but they don't actually live it.
That's silly.
You say it, Bob.
But as of note, this place reminds you all a bit of Asterium. But as if Asterium had a lot more of a welcoming facade, this place almost seems unwelcoming, imposing. The same type of splendor, but it's very obvious who gets to enjoy it.
Yeah, but it's clearly the high elf and ethno state. So.
As as the cart is parked out in front of the debating, Eleanor kind of listens in just a little bit to make a point of visibly appreciating her culture. You are all approached by figures in silk gowns. They're very elderly looking high elves with rings of office on their person. They give Eleanor nods, where she actually gets off her cart and gives a long bow. Thank you for welcoming me within our lovely city. I am on pilgrimage here, as I'm sure you have been made aware. The old lady who holds a ring of office, notably one that seems to be it has a symbol for matron on it, simply shakes her head. What brings the daughter of Chrysanthemum to the High Elf City? Surely have you been made aware of your restrictedness by your own family? Eleanor rises back up, and without missing a beat, and I'm sure you have been made aware that many of my family's highest funds and donations have allowed the city to function in the capacity that it is currently. Regardless of my current standing within my own city, I am gifted many such proprietaries within this domain. The matron seems about to disagree, but the male official, who has multiple rings of office, simply holds a hand. Your ladyships, kindly to cease such public prattles. If the High Elves wish to debate, we have a stage for this, and currently it is occupied. However, if you wish to settle such a dispute with the debate, I can notch you in for next Friday at exactly 3 p.m. for your current debate. Eleanor turns to the other lady. I am up to the challenge. How about you? Do you wish to debate such things with one of the highest founders and sources of income for this very city? I can assure you I am well-read, well-versed, well-taught, and shall not lose my debate. No, I feel no need to sully either of our reputations with such a thing. For all, we're both women of stature here. We can settle it without such things, yes? Then I am to assume neither of you will be attending, or reserving the event. I will leave it marked open for the next quarrel to arise, then. Topic of discussion. Now then, Lady Eleanor. Your estate has been set aside for you, as have your servants, and a banquet has already been laid out, should you need it. Enjoy your times within the city, and I definitely do not need to inform you of the stipulations and rules we must follow. No, absolutely not. I have been informed of them long since I even left the womb. Obviously, my lady, obviously, as you are of such regal bearing. However, I meant no ill will towards you, simply your servants and property. Do they know not to make such a ruckus? They have been quite quiet, quite polite. I can see that you have been very thorough with the lash and whip. What do you say? Do you think they will be a problem within our lovely city? No, I imagine not. And even if they were, they are mine to do with as I please, and I will discipline them appropriately. In private. We will not discuss my public proprietarial property affairs in the central chamber. Yes? Of course, of course. I will check in on you in a few evenings, then, if you are still within our lovely city. The High Elf Noble simply nods, the High Elf Noble Lady nods, and they just simply go on their way, both of them having little clipboards of sorts with different doctritation on them, so they just go around surveying. Eleanor cracks the whips, and pushes the cart closer to a estate. And while it was called an estate, it's essentially a very large marble temple, with a very beautiful open-air bath, and there's almost no real walls except the family banner. Anyone who sees the chrysanthemum flower understands that is their property, and they are not allowed there under ultimate punishment. Eleanor leads the cart right in, waits until she ties everything off, and then promptly just plumps herself into a chair. Finally. Peace and quiet.
Is this place basically the same as when I first came?
The High Elf City?
Yeah.
In a sense. Bub, you weren't very much allowed within the High Elf City very much. They led you around the outer edges of it and let you see into it a bit, as the respect given to a druid. But, they didn't give you much privileges because you were, well, a kobold, and you were not a high elf. So this might be your first time in one of the actual estates.
Cool. Is what Bub says.
And if you've ever seen the
Finally.
movie Ben-Hur, kind of imagine kind of like one of those types of places, an open-air Roman estate.
Cool. Okay, got it.
Tulio hops out of the cart and just does a big old stretch. Ah, well then, your ladyship. I knew you were rich and all, but a chief officiator within this lovely city. Can't imagine what made you leave. Please come off it, Tulio. I have no interest in this. Ophelia is simply looking around with a narrowed gaze at all of the goings-on in the city. Such a foul city. these nobility not understand that it is their purpose to take good care of those that are beneath them? Have they lost the meanings of chivalry and honor? They've lost it a long time ago when they became obsessed with their own position and bloodlines. What to say? Makes me think of if the mountain borns keep going on their path, they might end up something similar.
Essentially, what you end up doing all day is just debating needlessly and then whipping each other in the main chamber. Is that correct? That's
Sort of. This is a bastion. It is the bastion of high elf society. As such, we do not venture here very long. Simply, it is an away area that we head to. Whenever one of our families must go into hiding or needs to make an official, very, very important decision, we away to here to handle it, to our estates, and once everything has been handled, we enjoy ourselves to our maximum capacity and then leave. After all, staying too long within the High Elf City runs the risk of spoiling just the charm and beauty of it. She then immediately rolls her eyes.
well, that sounds like it has already happened.
To be quite honest, they spend much of their time discussing business in private, making connections to further each other's houses and their own good graces, discussing their hatred for outsiders in private and in public, and debating the purpose of elven society in the public squares, and very little do they actually have to strive or suffer for.
Ooh, well, it does have very strong magic. I'm surprised they all haven't gotten big and fat.
Oh, well, the reason for that is we were all taught fencing, and it is a casual pastime. Keeps us quite lithe, and most of us that continue to practice until we have received a wound around our upper thighs or knee area from a bad parry do not remain quite active, as it is our grace and dignity at stake. One cannot be graceful and dignified while slouching and losing your posture from having to have an oversized belly.
I guess that makes sense. So, we gonna get the stuff? I've never been in here before.
Well, if you wish to have a meal, as we've been informed, there's likely one already arranged. Head through that doorway. There should be a long table with only 2 chairs. Take whatever you wish. I'm not hungry.
Cool. I'm gonna eat, and then I'm gonna go for a double dip. That's my plan.
So,
Meanwhile, the adults can do something else.
if everyone's being taught fencing, do duels happen a lot?
Oh yes, it is. When a debate cannot be handled with mere words and ideas, every once in a while a duel arises to settle things in their finality.
Ah, so the usual stuff then.
Indeed. Though we also are encouraged to practice the magics and keep ourselves tactically driven as well. We must balance our minds with our magical practicality along with our physical prowess, as we are high elves. Anything less would make us wood elves, or, heavens forbid, like the dirt beneath our heels, the trow. We are a very elitist society.
I don't know. Never would have noticed.
Oh, and the rules they mentioned before. Do not cause any public disturbances. Do not make yourself a scene. If you encounter other elves, simply put, as you are not high elves, or even any elves to begin with, simply incline your head and do not make eye contact. Be very polite, and do not bring dirt or any dirt within the public streets. If you are to leave the house, make sure you are well washed before leaving. Make sure you do not leave the house with anything like a weapon or a source of danger. You are allowed a single blade on your person on your hip in case a duel arises, but it must remain sheathed at all times. Wow, so fun.
That
Never
could
have I
be a
been in a
noxious
place where I
blade.
desired to be back in Nebulum. Even the Nebulese court, everyone's allowed to bring a weapon, and everyone's expected to. Keep it sheathed, what's the point? You're all gonna be stabbing each other anyways, may as well have it unsheathed, somewhere hidden up a sleeve or something, yeah? They like to follow the rules, Tulio. Yeah, rules.
Oh, do you need a license for anything?
If you are a high elf, you are assumed to have whatever permissions you already acquired.
Uh-huh.
As long as you have if you have a family name, even more so. Pulling rank is quite common here.
So it seems.
And those in power tend to keep it. For, as you are well aware, we are a very long-lived race, and when we have extra generations, well, we live long as well. But once again, we are encouraged to not remain within this citadel of sorts for too long, as it is a getaway, a resort area for us to retreat to and handle only the most important of businesses. If we were to reside here at all times, it would ruin the splendor of the area. We mustn't drink only the best wine and eat the best fruits and vegetables, as if we simply gorge ourselves on the highest of grade materials non-stop, we will eventually lose our appreciation for them. So we will have just the step below it at most other times and reserve the highest for only special occasions.
Hmm.
In the meantime, however, while Bub is enjoying himself at the dinner table, as long as you follow the rules that I dictated, make yourselves clean, make yourselves appropriate, do not cause a scene, not get into any fights. She noticeably eyes Tulio and Gildos as she says this. Then we should be fine. You can even wander the city and go anywhere you please. Actually, she rises from her seat, walks over, pulls open a drawer, retrieves a few flowers, and then places them somewhere on your persons very visibly. Here you are. With this is the chrysanthemum flower. This is our family flower. As long as you have these visible on your person, you should not get into any trouble. And please, for my sake, don't cause a scene while wearing these.
Hmm.
Right. Well then, your ladyship. Since I don't think I would be able to help myself, I'll just think I'll go to the dinner table and enjoy myself. See what the rare wines and foods taste like. Since I can't go around sampling the merchandise, so to speak, I think I'll just stay inside and sample the merchandise. shoots a wink at her and just trudges his way over to the dinner table. Can't say I quite like it here, but since we're gonna have a good bed, good bath, good food, good drink, and what we need for us provided for a short time, let's make use of it. After all, her ladyship has gone out of her way to do it, may as well. I'm gonna see if I can find some of those guard fellows. I know rangers when I see one. I like to brush shoulders with fellow rangers. You learn a lot from them, you know?
Hmm.
Am even I allowed to wander the streets, Lady Eleanor? Of course, of course. Again, you are a aberration in their eyes, however, I have deemed you my property, which I apologize again for declaring you all such, but it must have been done. Simply put, so that you would not be, if you were my servants, you could still be accosted as property. They can't usurp my authority. But yes, you can even wander the streets if you wish. Then I shall keep an eye on things and attempt to learn what I can. What of you, Gildos and Delon? What will you be getting up to?
Hmm. Hmm. To be honest, Lady Eleanor, there's so much I wish to learn. I'm also curious how Hawkins going to meet us in this city, although he said he has his ways. I think I'd like to learn more about this culture. There's clearly a lot of things I don't know. And especially in how they've dealt with outsiders would be very useful for a survival guide. I mean, their practices is most paramount.
If you have any questions, I can inform you with whatever I can. I'm very well versed in my family's culture, as I am the heir.
Good. Then you would know where we need to locate specific information then. Perhaps once you've rested here, can do so in the morrow or later.
Yes, I can easily do such a thing. I need to gather my wits before me, as this place is quite exhausting, and it's taken a lot out of me to even step foot in such a place that draws my ire. I have fallen a little out of practice of smiling and keeping such authoritative barbs in such a way that doesn't allow me to sneer at the prospect of them.
Well, for me, this has been pretty amusing seeing you change face so radically.
Well, I'm glad somebody found it amusing. It's exhausting.
I mean, I'm sure it is, but seeing you go from the gung-ho, naive, but quite driven woman to a true enshrined princess is, well, at the drop of a hat too. It's just, well, I guess that's what living 100 years does to you.
I suppose, yes. I may not have the experiences that someone in like yourself, Gildos, might have, but I have definitely been taught in the ways of statesmanship.
Well, as for what I want to do, I never really stopped to think about it. I mean, this is the city of magic, so perhaps I can find some way of magic forging, but I don't know. Guess I could learn about something about Mithril. I mean, it's not like I've ever had any elves, much less high elves, coming down to my home. But at the same time, I'm a human, and I know what. Eleanor, how do you say sorry in Elvish?
Sorry
Just
in
in case.
Elvish.
Just in case.
Well, you say... And she will describe the word to you in Elvish. Because I do
Right.
not have one made up.
Oh no, it's fine. I didn't expect you to. It's just. Aha. Well, if I cause trouble, I know what I can say now, but. Well, suppose I'll just wander around, see if something catches my eyes.
Alrighty then.
Hmm.
If you get up to if you find something interesting, make sure that you don't bump into an elven noble who's masquerading with some of her magic cloaks and all that, and get too familiar.
Well, keep an eye out. I'll be careful. I mean, you know. I already know what I can expect. The much is clear. But suppose I'll be seeing you in the evening.
Yes, once I've gotten my whereabouts and regathered my fortitude, I will most definitely be heading out to make certain appearances, as I will be forced to do. I have to play kind with a few people and make sure that they know that I'm here on business.
Hmm.
With that, Eleanor rises from her seated position with the grace of, well, a princess. She pauses for a moment and turns to you, Delon. Might I have a word with you in a few hours?
Oh, certainly.
Thank you. With that, she simply walks, borderline sachets out of the room.
Hmm.
From the doorway, Tulio comes in with a plate just overflowing with food and 3 different wine glasses in his hands, all of them with a different colored wine. Oh, this stuff is good. Who knew that Sugar Tits had such a high family? I knew she was rich and all, but damn. She's literally a princess.
She likes to keep that fact quite a secret. So, you wouldn't mind.
I ain't gonna rip her off, she's employing me. Then again,
Indeed.
I might need to speak to her about my wage. Delon, do you think 1,000 gold for the job is too little? Do you think I should ask for about 2,000 gold for a job?
Hmm.
Clearly she can
Advice.
afford it.
I think if you keep pushing it, she'll reduce your pay.
999 gold, not a penny less.
Perhaps. As Delon chuckles at that.
Norm comes in after getting the dirt and mud off his boots, getting ready to head out without his boots on, as he doesn't want to drudge any mudded around, and he's supposed to be more clean while walking the streets, and he knows that boots are dirty, so he noticed all the elves were barefoot. Well then, I'm about to head off and go try to meet up with those night fellows. But yeah.
Wish you the best of luck then.
Well, thank you, Delon. Bit of a culture shock here, you know? Reminds me of some of the stories of the old mountain-born dwarves. But we were a lot more prideful, less arrogant, if you will. Still though, definitely understanding why she didn't want to come here. These people don't got no good morals. I don't know. I don't know what go far in Gloucester.
Hmm.
Anywho, see you in the evening.
See you.
I think they went towards the northeast. Before I head out as well, I think I will inform you all where I am heading, so as if you need me, you may find me.
Hmm.
I am going to wander the city streets and listen to the debate so I might learn more of the political compass. Afterwards, I think I will make my way towards a library if they have one, and attempt to request some reading material.
Hmm. Then I might see you there later this evening. Please take care in the meantime, your ladyship.
Thank thee. You all as well.
Hmm. Well, look at this. Where are you headed?
I mean, here and there mostly. Like I'll stop by the library, of course. Other than that, well, quite the. I mean, it's not the kind of environment I'm used to either, so.
Aye.
I guess I'll just listen around.
I think I'll do the same. Get my feet wet, so to speak.
Alrighty. So before I split the party a little bit,
Hmm.
I'm gonna move over to Bub to kick some things off, so he has some stuff to do real
Yeah.
quick. So Bub,
Okay.
you eat some food, and it is just delicious. It is absolutely amazing food, and you are especially impressed at the naturalness and how all the food isn't even seasoned, it isn't even altered. It is as it would be in nature. The only things on the plate to add flavor are essentially bowls of honey or the like.
The land of milk and honey. You found it.
Nice. Bub got fat at the end.
I just imagine just a fat Jewish Bob. It's just like that a fork and knife.
Bob just waddling around with a fat belly after gorging himself.
I blabbed out.
Bobo's head.
Bob.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I guess after eating, do I want to double dip or do I want to go through the town first? Double dip first.
So, Bub, you leave the Chrysanthemum Estate and begin heading towards the sacred pool that you saw before, yes?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So when you return, you no longer feel the presence of the elven knights that were here before, and you're once again just surrounded by the spiritual creatures, who manifest themselves when you get near. What do you do?
Ooh. Hello, I am Bub. It's peaceful here. Do they bother you?
The spirits shake their head at that. They seem, one of them, a especially large elk, sort of walks on top of the water closer to you and kind of lounges near you. It shakes its head at you.
Wait, what's it doing? My brain had a fart moment.
Oh, so an especially large spiritual elk walked literally on top of the water's surface, not even sinking below it, and just essentially the water rippled with a shimmering effect, and then laid down beside you and shook its head as you asked if they are bothering them.
Hello. I seem to be closer to nature as of late, but danger is coming. I saw a vision from the north, but I have to figure out what to do. But I'm just one kobold. And even though I'm an important emissary, I'm just one kobold.
The elk seems to stare into you for a long moment, Bub, and then it gently taps its hoof on the water surface as it ripples again. And you hear the voice, a sort of an old voice, ring out throughout the woods. One kobold. Weak. A kobold with many bonds strong. The forest stands united, crumbles apart.
So it's really united? Why'd you say crumble apart, though? I don't get it.
The elk kinda seems to tilt its head at you for a moment, its spiritual ears flicking a bit, before it speaks again. One must stand united, or shatter apart.
Oh. Well, I guess the question is, everybody is so apart, so how do you get them to be united? Especially when
spiritual
they're
elk-
happy
Oh,
to
go ahead.
be apart. Like here, with the elves. They like being apart. Why would they want to be united?
Spiritual elk kind of looks up towards the glade, the twinkling of fairies and pixies flying overhead. Creatures need a reason to be together. Creatures need a reason to unite. This glade, for instance, brings peace, water, life for many creatures, predator, prey, spirit alike. Yet we never fight.
Alright, I understand now. So Bub thinks about it for a bit, and he says, that just means I have to get people to listen to me.
The elk stares directly into you again, Bub. How will one get them to listen?
I don't know. Usually I just do work, and then if I do a good job, then people listen to Bub. But lately, things have been working different. People have different ideas, so they fight. They forget that nature is all connected and that they can't escape it. And that causes problems. But I have to remind them of that.
The spiritual elk kind of nods at you, Bub. Remind them. Remind them the reasons they have been put here. Remind them what they must stand against, stand for. Different peoples, different thoughts. Yet all live in this woods, in relative peace and harmony. Respecting each other's territories, but uniting against common threats. Such is the order of nature. Many creatures cling to things that they deem important. They cling to titles, lands, estates, as if they are theirs to have. Lands change. Boundaries change. borders change.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. I think I just need to get them to focus elsewhere. But I'm pretty small. I have big power, but I'm pretty small. I gotta get big people to get people to pay attention. That's how I'm gonna do it. But I have to get to the big people first and get them to listen. I wonder if nature can help me. It's the one that sent me that vision, so that must mean that I need its help to do it.
Nature needs your help, Bub. You are a druid.
All right. Well, let's meditate on that. So I'm gonna drink from the lake.
Alrighty. Time to do something very special for Bub. Roll a D100.
Yay!
Oh wow, an
Like-
88.
Oh, okay. I thought I was supposed to roll. Okay, 88's better. Or is it?
I think that's good.
Alrighty. So, Bub, after drinking from the pool and beginning to meditate, when you will awaken, you will have
We're now
gained.
multi-questing, Monk.
No. You will have gained, essentially a +2 in wisdom, as you have fulfilled
Holy
a druid
shit.
requirement.
Oh yeah. I guess that makes. Well, okay. Yay! I still have the
Yeah.
low average wisdom.
Bub is wiser now. Slightly.
No, it's 14 now. That's
That's pretty good. 14's pretty good, dude.
Yeah, that's a big buff for me. Holy crap. I mean, it made sense. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be needing this wisdom to do a nearly impossible task. So I guess yeah, now I'm kind of more along what the others have been doing.
Alrighty. So when you awaken, Bub, you feel some clarity. You feel like things make a little more sense to you. Like either some fabrics or some cloths that have hidden the truth from you have fallen away, or like you simply can see more of the bigger picture than you had before. You know that people can still be united even though they have different wants and desires. After all, in this very glade, creatures of both predator, prey, fey, and natural all congregate in peace and tranquility. So if such creatures who usually are at so many ends with each other can live in peace in such a place, then others can do so as well. But there must be a respect. There must be an understanding. They have to have a reason. What that reason is, and if you can garner that respect, well, that's yet to be seen.
That gives me an idea. Okay.
Alrighty. So as Bub is going on a mushroom-driven spiritual journey of enlightenment, I'm kidding. I will segue over to, I'll say Gildos. So Gildos, as you begin wandering the streets to kind of do your usual thing of listening in and absorbing some cultures, the first thing you notice is that everyone is always glaring at you when you walk by, as if wondering why a human, even if he's clearly of the Chrysanthemum House, is allowed to wander the streets with so much ease.
Well, I mean, I got a problem with that. They could always talk to me, but you know, not that I would expect any of that.
You can also hear that the people who were debating when you came in are still debating. They've moved on from talking about what is the role of elves in society, and now they're just arguing. They seem to be sort of debating in a circle about, well, what even qualifies as a society by elven standards.
What is an elf?
They've moved on from what is the elf and what is their purpose to, well, what is everything else compared to the elf?
Mm-hmm. Like clearly property and servants. That's the answer. I don't know why you need hours to come to that conclusion, but
because they have to be right more than the other guy.
How can you be righter than that? Oh, I guess. Oh, but there may be a lies of circumstances.
Another thing of note, while
all that, I'll say was like, yeah, basic Bible, like I'm butchering all that. So like, if somebody's hearing that, they hear it.
Alrighty. So while you're wondering about muttering under your breath about criticizing them, somebody noticeably attempts to trip you. So make a dex save.
Well, I could just make a strength save.
That you could make a strength save so that you just stay upright if you wanted. I'll allow it.
I mean, it's the better of the two, so. Alright.
So,
well, not so gracefully, you fall on his leg.
Alrighty, so you fall on his leg a bit. The noble kind of sneers at you, pulls his leg out from under you, and then makes a point of wiping it off as if you're filth. He then kind of drops the cloth on your head and walks away.
Well,
Notably, very few people actually pay you much attention despite falling in the dirt.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll just clean myself and say sorry, audibly, in Elvish, to the noble.
The noble doesn't even give you a nod of acknowledgement, simply continuing on his way.
Mm-hmm.
As you continue walking about... Oh, go ahead.
No.
As you continue walking about as well, you notice there are a few open air stalls. There's some like general market type of area, but it's more they deal in bartering. They like to trade things. Whenever a currency is brought up, they mention platinum.
Talk about something expensive, damn. Yeah, let's see what they have to barter. Like, what can a goose with a high elf sell?
So, of note, what's being exchanged between other high elves in the bartering type of fashion is a bunch of, well, by most people's standards, nothingness. They're bartering fruits, vegetables. Every once in a while, they'll exchange contracts as if, like, trading it at a business contract, like one for the other. You see as two high elf nobles, essentially, one gives another noble 2 houses for one of his estates.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of property and also just nothingness being exchanged at the same time. Very seldomly does coinage change hands, and usually it's when one is outright refusing to lose something to gain something, which they then spend the next hour or two debating the price.
Of course they do.
Of note, there are a few people selling items. There's a few maps here or there, or people selling look like either some potions or some crystals or something like that. Everything here though, the one common thread of literally everything here is it is all master craftsmanship.
Mhm.
Like the few people that sell goods are selling silvered weapons that you can tell immediately Gildos onside are like +2. Like a +2
yeah.
silvered weapon kind of a thing.
Good stuff then. Ah. See, the problem with big property is that you could ask, but at the same time, you're like, I wish I tell you, you filthy sugar. Yeah, so they're only selling silver things, right? So, well, bartering for them, I guess.
The only thing that they sell that is of mithril is occasionally armor,
Uh-huh.
which is being exchanged by the military division for the most part. It's all elvish made, clearly meant for elvish builds as well, as there's no mithril armor being made for somebody more stocky in proportions. There's some mithril chain or some mithril infused studded leather or something like that. Just very, very, very specific, more like dex-based type of armaments and armor.
Now you know what? Fuck it. I'll just walk up to them, to the sellers. Just outright say, how do you make these? Oh, I'm just curious about that.
So as you make a point of walking up to many of them, one of them looks at you and slowly puts its mithril chainmail back on the table. And kind of you see him like rub his thumb and forefinger together for a moment as he stews for a moment. Elvish secret. Are you asking for the Chrysanthemum House? Do you have an interest in getting into forgery now?
Oh, very soon, yes. Actually.
Expansion, of course.
As a matter of fact, if you were to ask my lady about that, she would show you a promissory note of a certain business. I would deal with, well, that did agree to sell to them once they get properly set up after a unfortunate setback. And, well, obviously, I am one of the representatives of this.
Clearly, the ladyship is scrounging for contracts if she's found a down-on-her-luck forge master or down-on-her-luck operation that needs to get a Kickstarter to get itself back off the ground.
Oh, if I were you, I wouldn't judge the craft of the man, you know. So why did the down on the luck if they make something that is satisfactory to the lady?
Ah,
More than that, if I may say.
they must have her ladyship must have lowered her standards. Only the premium, most established mithril quality gear would have ever approved. She would have ever approved of, clearly.
So you would dare to criticize the standards then?
Is she here to debate me otherwise?
I'm sure she would. If I were
And
to
what,
tell
you, a member of property, even if a member of her house, why would she believe you? What proof do you have of these allegations? She's not here, no. I don't see her. Besides, you were simply a servant, her property, if you will. What proof do you have that I have been slandering her name?
That's a good question. Well, I only have the flowers, the problem. Let's see. Well then, how about some little contest then? If I can make something in an hour, that's on the level of that there mithril armor, then would that not only prove that the lady is correct? An hour, just any material you can provide me. Be it. Yeah, well, actually, you'll let him.
Making something of equal quality to the elves in an hour? What do you take us for? You think something so shoddily constructed in merely an hour, like some goblin or lizard folk, would have the quality of and the assurance of something elvish made?
Well, if you want my honest opinion, all I'm hearing is a certain high elvish man fears that his superiority is being questioned. Clearly.
Then clearly, as a servant and a member of property, you do not know your betters. Fine, I will take your wager, and I will even raise a standard. Should you be able to craft something of some modicum of phenomenal quality in merely an hour, which I will keep on the dot, mind you, not a minute more, or else you forfeit. But if you were to craft some modicum of skill for me, then I will allow you to have a lump of mithril, maybe a lump of this esteemed metal to work with. Yes, even a lump is something that you will salivate at, indeed.
Get that in writing.
And if I win, I will demand a measure of property or something of essential worth to prove that you have lost this wager, and I can call on your ladyship's good name.
Well, so long as I get to work on mithril, that's all fine by me. So, an hour then. Where shall we hold it then? Actually, rather here right now, or is there a more appropriate place? Like, I don't know, an auditorium of some kind. Public place where people can witness.
You think this is on the level of quality and no desire to be held like a debate? so cultured. No, this is a task to be handled by my apprentice in front of you. I should not sully my own hands with crafting something against the likes of you. My apprentice is more than capable of besting you in such quality. Boy, get in here! A wood elf looking young lad comes in, who was clearly dirty from having worked the forge all day long. You will be dealing with this gentleman. You will be having a forge off. Grab one of the many beautiful works that you've acquired and made in the back, and he will have an hour while working with one of the materials in our storehouse to make something of equal quality. The wood elf immediately bows his head 4 times and gestures you to come into the stall in the back, Gildas.
Mm-hmm. I'll follow him and just look back and shake my head. I'm not even willing to. Right. So inside the store I go, I guess.
Once you head into the forge area itself, Gildas, you can find, as a fellow blacksmith, that the ore and items that could be made from the gear in here is all of the ingredients are top-of-the-line quality.
Mm-hmm.
The kind that would have spared no expense.
Ah, this is expensive stuff in an expensive city. Well, this is what I'm trying to figure out right now. Is like what kind of mithril item I want to build, actually. Ah. Hmm. Does that be, Let's see, yeah, 75. You know what? Fuck it. I'm overdue for an upgrade, right? I'm just gonna make a mithril chainmail if I can.
Alrighty. So Gildas, prepare your divine ritual and smith
Uh-huh.
away. Roll me the smithing
Sure.
tools.
Oh my god, please,
Ah.
please nail this.
Oh yeah, hold on. Let me just find the thing. What is it?
Please nail this, sir.
Just
Roll
for
fizzle beef.
posterity's sake. The smithing tool attribute, I guess. Yeah, it's relevant to wisdom then, something like that. Boom.
An 18. Very good roll. So Gildas, how are you going to make something of equal quality?
Well, I feel like I have a lot of things to base it on, considering I've never dealt with any other than quality, but
Now,
I'll
for the
just,
record, this won't necessarily be a +2 mithril chain vest, but the one that he is telling that his apprentice brought over is basically a mithril chain vest, so, mithril chainmail, which is already an upgrade.
Oh, is it cheating if I use the Blessing of the Forge on it? Because I haven't used it today. Because,
So you want to make it even more shiny after the fact with the Blessing of the Forge smacked on top?
I mean, it's just a touch, so there's no foul play. I'm already using magic, so just part of the trick.
I would say no, not. I would say it wouldn't be unallowed. So yeah, you could do it.
I mean, they never said I couldn't use magic,
True.
so while I'm doing my whole thing, I'll sneakily still glances at the wood elves and the craftsmen to learn how to do it as well. Because I mean, it's the first time I actually see them do anything.
So of note, while you're watching the Wood Elves work with the Mithril, what they tend to do is there are several Wood Elf apprentices in this shop, and they essentially hammer out the Mithril into very thin layers, and then layer those layers on top of each other, and then forge them together to reinforce the Mithril to make it essentially as strong as, well, something that would be like double its thickness, kind of a thing.
Aha.
And when they make something like a chainmail, they make ringlets out of it, in doing the same exact thing. And due to the nature of mithril itself, with the ringlets there, it then essentially makes chainmail that is super lightweight. Borderline like just cloth.
Right. So as I'm doing all this on my watch time at the same time, I make some subtle adjustments just so that it's more in line to how they do it. Essentially, like the final version of it will still have clearly human influences, right? But the whole more intricate parts will be more elvish, right? So it'd be something that would fit me, basically.
So it would fit your build
Like
better.
right, essentially. A union of Renault and Mysterium, that you would never see.
Alrighty. So you do exactly that, and after an hour, and not a minute later, the gentleman who owns the store comes blustering right on in, demanding to see your work. Let's see it then. How is it? You've had an hour. Surely you couldn't have even mustered up half a chain vest out of that.
I'll look for yourself, and I'll point to Probably a mannequin with it on it.
His eyes narrow, and he brings a hand to his chin in fascination. So he just kind of circles around it. Boy, bring me a dagger. Once the dagger is brought, he makes several pointed stabbing motions at it, testing the resiliency. Boy, bring me a rapier. Does the same. Bring me a longbow. Bring me a short bow. Lastly, bring me a scimitar. Resilient against cut sharp instruments. Boy, bring over your hammer and give it a good swing. Once the high elf turns around, you notice that the wood elf kind of rolls his eyes and brings his hammer down on the chainmail that you made. Despite all of the attacks on it, it held firm. Afterwards, the high elf comes back over. Preposterous! You must have lifted it from somewhere. There's no way you had made something like with this many ringlets, with a material you've never worked with in an hour. Absolutely preposterous. Boy, I demand you regale with me how he did it. To which the boy describes exactly what happened. To again, the high elf noble's absolute bewilderment. Impossible. Absolutely preposterous. There's just no way you made something like this in an hour.
Yet, the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? You have your chainmail, and you have a witness.
No, there's some magic at play, some befuddlement. This is an illusion. Yes, it's an illusion. This chainmail's not real. Clearly.
Oh, there is magic involved, but it's all in the process, not the final product. No, it's very real, and I'm sure you have mages around if you want to detect any illusions or something. You probably have the means to do it. But I am no dishonest man. I would never challenge you like this only to foul play, like you would accuse me of, or well, not accuse me, but think I would do.
So the high elf again, with a hand over his chin and mouth a bit, with narrowed eyes, just circles around you this time, Gildas, as if appraising you in a way like he would have merchandise, like you did your gear on the podium, really looking at you now, as before he barely made eye contact or even gave you a glance. It's preposterous. So be it, on my honor. You get one lump of mithril, no more, barely enough for saber, let alone any sort of armor. I said a lump. See, boy, get him one of the higher grade qualities of mithril. I will not be going out that I did not give him good quality reward. I have been bested, so be it. Meantime, I will have to look into Chrysanthemum's business connections, see if, yes, perhaps there's some worth and down in the Lark's Forgeman, perhaps. To be something gained from it.
Good luck with that. Just look at the chainmail I just made, and I'll look back to the smith and say, I don't suppose I can keep that as well, seeing as I made it.
Just get it out of here. It's not made by my men. Get it out of here. Bad for business. I can't go selling that. Get rid of it.
Don't mind if I do, then. And so, take my chainmail and the little bit of mithril I have honestly gained.
Congratulations, Gildos. You have a Mithril Chainmail, which will give you, which is essentially a +1 chainmail, without actually being +1, just because it's made of better stuff,
Mhm.
and it's so lightweight, you don't suffer the weight disadvantage.
Welcome to the stealth game.
Yeah.
I'll just I didn't purpose put that in that thing, and then quickly go back to the card, put I can't very well like leave the mithril up, you know, the middle of the day, but at the same time, you know, it's like chrysanthemum estate, they won't try. But then again, you have 3 times offender at the back season.
3 times offender at the stocks.
Yeah, let's see. I've learned a bit about mithril sawmill. It's like, what's I do that actually before heading to like the library. I'm gonna take a look at the circlet one more time. Spend a little bit of time on it.
Alright, make me an Arcana check.
It's 14.
Alrighty. So, Gildos, you can definitely tell that this circlet has mithril in it now that you've worked with it. It's definitely, the base metal of the circlet is most definitely mithril. There is some gold inlaying and scrawling in it, and a gem of some sort that looks like a blood red gem in it. It's also a bit spiky and horned looking. Like it's meant to be a crown of kings or something like that. But more like a wrathful king. It's not evil looking, just intimidating. But with a 14 with an Arcana check, you can definitely tell it's also enchanted. You're not entirely sure where the chief shaman would have gotten his hands on something so clearly well made, but you can tell it must be some sort of artifact. Because it is clearly also very old.
Well, considering I'm heading to the library and all that, maybe I'll consult with Ophelia. We'll get there.
Alrighty. So as before you do that, I will move over to Delon.
Yep.
So Delon,
Hmm.
as you begin to make your way out of the estate, you begin heading for, if memory serves, you're going to head for the library, yes?
Yeah, I was gonna head to the library.
So, when you begin heading for the library, you're not walking the city streets long before you hear the murmuring. People are gossiping about you. Some are questioning what reason for such an exotic creature would the chrysanthemums have. Others are wondering what the point of a white dragonborn even being in this city is. Some are gossiping, wondering if you're up to no good. A few clutch their pocketbooks tight and their like business wallet and their like clipboards with contracts and stuff close to their chest to hide them from you, as if assuming you're scheming.
Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd, a white dragonborn.
But all of them look at you with suspicion, distrust, and a few with not so well-meaning interest, as if wondering how they could use you.
I assume Valesse's with me.
If he is with you,
well,
something extra will happen.
I assume he would be.
Alrighty. So with Velise with you as well, eventually the rumors of you traveling with Velise also get factored in, and eventually some robed gentlemen, similar to the men who had a rings of estate, the men and women who had rings of estate on them, come up and approach you, Delon.
Hmm.
However, they do not look to you. They look towards Velisay. Welcome, your lordship. Good to see you within these city streets, and if we might ask you, of course, we will, of course, escort you a little further away, so as to make it more private for your sake. Velisay, of course, nods, just like, get on with it, and they all escort into a little hovel away from everyone else. My lord, are you in some form of trouble? After all, you're palling around with some knight with white scales, as if he's some creature of some worth. Does he have something on you? The more they keep asking Velisay, like, and clearly dancing around the topic of you in derogatory ways, the more you begin, Delon, with your familiarity with Velisay, you notice his tail flicking a little in agitation. Eventually, one of the elven statesmen speaks up a little more. What we're trying to say, your lordship, is he a pest? I have no fear of you, Dragonborn. Are you being a pest? Some blight on this noble creature's existence? Do you have some sort of blackmail, some sort of hold on his lordship? You're befouling his noble bearing by stepping so close. At this, Velisay stomps his hoof on the ground, and the nobles all immediately stand ramrod straight, looking at him. There is some manner of communication exchange between Velisay and these elven nobles before one of them just kind of absolutely preposterous, a partner of some kind, a dragonborn, white dragon. Surely, my lord, you are mistaken. Yes, I understand. Yes, indeed. Well, then we're sorry to have bothered you, but enjoy your time. Very sorry. They kind of collect themselves and begin rapidly kind of stepping away, murmuring amongst themselves about the improprietariness of it all, the preposterousness of it all, and the scandal.
Sorry they were disturbing you, old boy.
So Velisay waits till they're gone before rolling his eyes and then going back to walking beside you.
Thank you.
Velisay just kind of like tilts his head back and forth, like don't think nothing of it. You get the feeling that he's thinking along the lines of they had it coming anyways.
Yeah. My dude. Alright.
But as you make your way after that, you notice that a lot of the nobility are kind of murmuring even quieter now after that. Most of them don't make eye contact or even make a point of looking your direction. And if they do, they do it after you've turned your back, kind of a thing.
Honestly, I'm just waiting for one of them to be like, I challenge you to a duel. I'm like, oh, Lord. Oh, God. Best thing I need is to make trouble.
But alrighty, as you make your way to the library after that, you find that the library has no doors. It doesn't even have like a gate. It has a simple sign written in Elvish,
which I can read.
Which you can read, that states it as the library. Notably, it is listed very specifically as the House of Knowledge. You notice that all denizens come and go from the House of Knowledge without having to even check in. They simply go in, they will either read a book, but they never leave the House of Knowledge with any scrolls or books or items. Everything must be put back before they leave. But they're allowed to come and read anything on display. Notably, it also seems to function on the honor system, as there's nobody here to officiate it.
Good, less interruption.
But as you step in, what exactly are you looking for in the library, Delon?
Well, Eleanor can just tell me about customs and high elves. She's an expert, so I really don't need a book on customs or high elves. I guess you know what? I'm going to see if they have any information on Sovereign. Surely these snooty elves would have information on such a secretive topic.
So, as you're looking around, it takes you a little bit to find anything that even mentions Sovereign or even something about it. But the elves are extremely good record keepers. They have everything categorized and alphabetized. So eventually you get to the S's. But it wasn't an S in Elvish, it was S in Sylvan. So luckily Velisay was able to point you in the right direction.
Oh, thank you.
But eventually you find a singular scroll with the mention of Sovereign. It is an old map. As you begin looking at this old map, Delon, you find that it is not just a map, it is a city layout, as if one would have been used while building the floor plan for an immense city. It shows like builder's marks for where the market square was going to be, where the moats would have been, where castle structures would have been. It even has markings for it says secret passages ? In different places. Like there's notable information here, and the interesting thing is it says the capital city of Sovereign. Mentioned as Sovereign Guard.
Oh, Sovereign Guard. Fair enough. I'm gonna try and copy the map as best I can.
Alrighty.
I do have the magical pen.
Yes, you do. So you will actually, if you spend a few hours doing it, you can make a kind of a copy of this map.
It's the only information I have, so I'll just do so.
The other interesting thing is that this map is extremely old. Like, it's kept, so the map itself is kept in sort of a magical glass, like magical crystal sleeve. So no hands ever touch it.
Right.
And the sleeve can be rolled up like a scroll. But essentially it is keeping it in immaculate condition despite how blatantly old it is. It looks like if it was ever to touch the air, it would just immediately crumble on contact.
That sounds about right. So I take my time inscribing it. It's all the information I get on Sovereign. I'll put it back exactly where I found it, and the next piece of information, I suppose. At least I have a floor plan, as useful as that is, which is not very. Something. I guess really. What else? What else do I really have?
You could look into information about the Savage Lands, different things of interest in the Savage Lands, stuff like that.
Well, first and foremost, probably Kingsglaive. They have any information? I mean, if it's the same shit, I would have gotten at the College of Asterium. I'm not gonna bother. You spent all that time looking for the Kingsglaive there. I doubt the High Elves will have that much more information on it.
So of interest, actually, is that most of the information is the exact same that the Blue Dragon has. However, there are a few things the Blue Dragon doesn't have. Mostly of the Kingsglaive being called the Crown in days of yore.
Hey, just like Lady Nightfield said.
There's also descriptions of it as a non-material item.
Okay. Odd.
Some of these seem to be first-hand journal accounts of survivors of battles, describing that they felt like the Kingsglaive was was something not necessarily fully physical, perhaps.
I imagine Delon has a whole book that he's just been writing about just the Kingsglaive alone, just filled to the brim with notes.
I imagine so as well. A little journal that fits in his his vest or something if he had one.
Yeah, it's like the Indiana Jones thing. He just has
Yeah.
all this written. It's great. All these different little details. That's good to know. The material. That's interesting. And I guess, yeah, trying to know the environment of the Savage Lands will probably be for the best. I was also going to possibly do some research on magic. Specifically, I still don't know too much about being a Dragonborn, the magical properties. But I'm also intrigued in Elvish magic. Like, basically, how can Delon utilize his inner magic? Delon clearly has magic. He wants a little more. Clearly,
Alrighty.
there's still untapped potential.
So I'll talk about the magic first, then I'll move over to the information about the Savage Lands. So
That's
as you look
fine.
into magic, not only about dragons, but also about the elves and how the different magics can vary, you begin to learn information regaling about how mostly the elves, especially the high elves, they declare themselves as the first branch and the original elves. They also mention that they are the most magically attuned of the races. The only thing that comes close to them are Dragonborns, who they mention as beings that have been other inferior beings that have been imbued with magic. This
how
magic
embarrassing.
having elevated their status. Many of these are from more as if high elves who are observing Dragonborns very closely, but without the Dragonborn's knowledge. They also seem to look at them from the perspective of a very, very dangerous creature. All notes on Dragonborn mention them to treat them with utmost caution, be very careful.
Interesting. I imagine also the topic of like magic and imbuing and stuff. I'm sure notes of Sword of Echoes shows up at one point.
So
at least
in
something.
regards to this kind of a magic, Sword of Echoes does not appear. However, if
Okay.
you were to look in for the Sword of Echoes, there is information about that here. But mostly, when it comes to the Dragonborn magic, Delon learns that essentially Dragonborns, all of them, every single one, is imbued with magical properties that that not only grow with them in potency, but in volume. As the elves have a belief that the Dragonborn process is magical in nature. They aren't sure how it works, but they believe that when the Dragonborn becomes one, whether they had the ability for magic or not, they now do. If they had the magic ability beforehand, it's even stronger. Another interesting note about the Dragonborn process as well as magic is that there is some of the elven scholars are unsure if Dragonborn are limited to what kinds of spells they can cast. There's already the understanding that anybody can essentially use any spell if they train hard enough, but Dragonborn seem to have an affinity for magic, and they're unsure of the limitations of that affinity.
Fair enough.
A lot of the questions that you have, Delon, mostly are answered with vague what-if or hypotheticals. Questions that the observers asked themselves that they came up with cautious responses. Like they fear the potential of them.
Yeah, I can see that.
When it comes to elf magic, you find that all elves believe that their magic comes from their own divine nature. that they believe that they are a very old race that came before many of the others in Canes.
Hmm.
There is a belief among many elves that elves were some of the first ones gifted with the ability to understand and use the magic words, essentially.
Hmm. Interesting.
Let's see. A mention on the Sword of Echoes as well, as you went looking for that, is that it was a sword crafted as a union. The sword itself was a wedding present crafted for the union of a high elf prince and a wood elf princess.
Hmm. Do their names still register? Are they still like? How did it come to land in that situation?
It is notably well recorded, though there are not names attached. They're simply house names, which I won't specify here because GM doesn't have them.
That's fine.
But essentially, they mention that the Sword of Echoes was used as a peacekeeping offering for the wedding of these two large statesmen. For the two sides, the Wood Elves and the High Elves were at a very, very bitter war before that point. The binding of these two houses ceased this war and allowed both countries to prosper, and slowly they came a little more together, but they have never been quite whole. It is also recorded that the Sword of Echoes disappeared from the High Elf temples about 700 to 800 years ago. There was a recorded event of a drow raid on the High Elf city, where multiple items of worth, value, and historical significance were plundered.
And then it just traded hands. Then at that point,
Essentially, they were
yeah.
lost.
And now it has come back home. But lastly, the Savage Lands, and then I'll
Indeed.
be done proper. I've taken up more people's time.
Nah, you're good. So as you begin looking through the Savage Lands, you find that there is a lot of recorded information on the Savage Lands. So you might need to narrow your breadth of information just a bit. So what sorts of information about the Savage Lands are you interested in?
History would be important, but honestly, I'm much more interested in the relationships of the Savage Lands individuals with the reputation between each other. I think that's far more important as someone who's a diplomat.
Alrighty.
While the information is important, it's more important to be like, okay, well, how do they react to each other? What kind of caused these issues? What mess am I stepping in?
So as you begin learning about the sort of the relations these different citizens have amongst each other, you very quickly come to understand that the relationship many of these citizens have with each other is one of hatred and prejudice towards each other, but a you don't fuck with me, I don't fuck with you mentality. As if there's also mentions of too many disturbances within the woods and within the essentially the state lines, as the elves call them, will inspire the wrath of the heart of the forest.
Part of the forest.
That is a notable thing among the Elven information about the Savage Lands, is there's frequent mentions of both reverence, fear, and caution about the heart of the forest. But most of the relations between these different is that, more or less, the High Elves do not leave their High Glade city at the farthest edges of the Savage Lands, with the least affiliation with the most dense part of the forest. Here they live in as much perfect harmony with it as they can achieve. They take very little, if anything, from it, and they simply exist within it as much as they can. Anything that they have has been brought from outside and incorporated with what they have. They don't take anything from the forest that they can help, unless it is from the spiritual glade or something similar. Meanwhile, the Wood Elves seem to function a bit more with the High Elf, of course, bias. It mentions recklessly. They take things from the heart of the forest and attempt not to take too much more. They take only what they need and leave the rest for the forest itself. They live very, very openly. They're very accepting of outsiders, and they are mentioned as foolish, naive, borderline, frivolous, foolish elves, with very little regard for their own nobility. Another mention is of the lizard folk, and there is multiple points of caution and addendums, little dissertations or notes on the lizard folk of essentially stay as far away from them as possible. They call them barbarians, savages, cruel and evil creatures, wild folk, not even civilized, savage, warmongers, consume their dead, weird things like that. They clearly have no love for them, at least from the High Elf perspective. But they're clearly unsettled by them. They're also mentioned to be a somewhat more recent addition to the woods, something coming about within the last 300 or 400 years.
Whoa.
Mentions of the Tabaxi are of more in a fashion of... the way they talk about them is like they are petty creatures that essentially only exist to annoy the nobility. Let's see. Also, speaking of other denizens of these lands, let me see here. Un momento. So there's also mentions of the Aarakocra and the goblins, as well as some other races here and there. For the most part, Aarakocra are... They will not probably bother you. They just kind of go about their business, living in the higher treetops and ignoring a lot of people. There's mentions of if you see large, very especially green trees with lots of foliage in the higher branches, don't break branches, don't cut them down, lest you anger them. There is a mention of the Furbolg as well. They are the caretakers of the heart of the forest. That they take nothing and only give. They are mentioned as foolish, naive, but kind caretakers, and extremely stubborn. The orcs and goblins and changelings, many of these are treated with very little respect or like. The Fae are treated with essentially know what kind of a Fae you're dealing with before you ever approach it, as all Fae are different. And all Fae, the only consistent quality among Fae is their flightiness, and essentially frivolousness. They are difficult creatures to deal with. And there's also warnings, never make deals with them.
Right.
Ganassi are mentioned as shamans and spirit leaders among the more uncivilized types of people. And there's also mentionings of do not just denounce them do not denounce them among their peers, as it is incredibly rude. And lastly, there is one entry on the drow. It lists them as liars, cheats, charlatans, false elves, evil worshippers, false traditionalists, and it keeps going on with the things that it says heretic, blasphemer, and more occultists, nefarious, evil schemers, planners. There is literally not a single good or diplomatic anything to be said with them. It's as if they're the only opinion that they have of the drow is as if something to get rid of.
Oof.
But essentially, most have something of worth or help, except the option on the drow. Also of note are mentions of gnomes, who are lumped in with fey creatures, and essentially if you see a gnome, you can make business or trades with them, but they are the only fey in the Savage Lands worth making deals with. As there's mentions of very fair, level-headed individuals.
Cool.
There's also a handful of mentions of Luxodon, Kenku, and Goliath, and only one mention of Gith. Notably, of kill them on sight.
Eh? Let's go back a little bit. Oh, it's a gift. But what's their problem with gift?
The only thing you can find out about the High Elves' problem with the Gith seems to be with their religion. The Eye.
Wow. The eye. I'm assuming they didn't even bother writing about what it even is. They didn't even want to know.
No, there's no mention outside of just simply that they are cultists who worship an evil deity known as the Eye.
Under Delon's book of races, GIF, the question, the eye question mark. That's basically what all he's got. Has a temple in the mountains. Monks, apparently. Huh. Obsession with eyes. That's all he's got really on the gift. I guess I'm done pretty much with everything now to research. I'm sure I might know later, but that's a good enough knowledge of the Savage Lands area and importance.
Alrighty.
Peoples and cultures. I don't think there's really anything Delon can gain from something unless something happens to him, at least in this manner, because he kind of wants to be on his best behavior and he doesn't want to sleep too hard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's just going to put all his items back and he'll walk out of the library.
Alrighty. So as the party has enjoyed their first day in the High Elf City, gathering information and getting amongst and enjoying some things here and there, we will wrap it up here, and we will return with the evening in the High Elf City. Thank you all for tuning in, and next week, as said, we will enjoy more festivities in the lovely, quote-unquote, High Elf City, and eventually, perhaps, venture outwards. Thank you all for tuning in. Bye-bye.